Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto started with all his memories. Before I start, please support for more amazing content, and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by TheBeardedOne and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Prologue, in the forest, and you know why everyone hates you. Mizuki sneered from his position on the tree branch. It's because 12 years ago, the Kyuubi attacked Konoha, killing many ninja until it was stopped by the 4th Hokage who sealed it away. Mizuki, no! Iruka shouted. Into the form of a baby. Mizuki continued with evil glee. That baby was you, and you are the nine-tailed fox. And now I shall finish what the Yondaime started. Naruto stood above the beaten and battered form of Mizuki, surrounded by hundreds of Kage Bunshin. Ahahaha, I kinda got a bit carried away, he explained weakly as Iruka limped over. The clone started to vanish as Iruka stopped before Naruto. Close your eyes. The Chunin smiled. Huh, trust me. Naruto closed his eyes and felt his goggles being gently removed from his forehead, then something was tied on in its place. Slowly reaching up, his nervously questing fingers found a fabric band, and on that band, a metal plate. The plate wasn't newly minted like those he had seen on those classmates of his who had graduated, but the edges of the inscribed leaf were still easily felt by his fingertips, and the edges of the plate, although nicked and slightly scarred, were still solid. Naruto slowly opened his eyes and saw Iruka smiling proudly at him, his forehead bare of the Hittite that now adorned Naruto's brow. Congratulations, genin Naruto. Iruka said gently. You are a true ninja of Konoha now, and of all my class. I am the most proud of you. Sarutobi Hiruzen smiled at the scene in the crystal ball on the desk in front of him. Then he reached out and placed the official stamp on a piece of paperwork that he had been filling out while watching the events unfold. Well done, Naruto-kun. He whispered quietly. You've taken your first step to achieving your goal. The piece of paper on the desk was placed into a small folder. As it vanished, the words at the top were briefly highlighted by the lamp in the corner of the room. Form 451,979. Confirmation of field promotion in peacetime. Academy student Uzumaki Naruto. Promoted to genin 012607. Promoting officer, senior Chunin Yumino Iruka 011850. Seconded by Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen 000261. Memories of Others. Chapter 1. Path of a New Genin. Naruto woke up with a huge smile on his face as he opened his eyes to see, placed on the small wooden box that served as his bedside table, the slightly battered and scratched Hittite that confirmed beyond all doubt that the events of the previous night hadn't been a dream. He was a ninja, and in just 1 week, a mere 7 days, he would be assigned a team of his own, letting him prove just how totally awesome he was. As long as he wasn't teamed up with Sasuke, that broody bastard. Naruto shook his head to clear away the depressing thought. Taking a deep breath of morning air, and he really needed to get that window fixed, he bounced out of bed, before scampering into the bathroom to shower. Then he paused and created a clone. Head to the kitchen and make me some breakfast, he commanded, and the clone nodded. Okay, but hurry up. Naruto stuck his tongue out at the clone, then turned the tap to switch on the shower. Shedding his pajamas, he jumped into the shower cubicle. Cold. The clone snickered as it switched the kettle on. Naruto finished tossing on his orange jacket. Chicken ramen. He smiled, then he paused. Hey, how did I know that? For a moment, Naruto frowned, then he shrugged. Maybe I smelled it. Whatever. Time to eat. Pausing to adjust the small sigil on his shoulder, Naruto bounced into the kitchen to devour the rameny goodness awaiting him. Itadakimasu. The morning was bright and cheerful as Naruto closed the door to his apartment. Unlike normal, he didn't lock it, a fact that was explained as the door reopened and another Naruto stepped out, this one holding a bag of rubbish in its free hand. We'll have the apartment tidied up by the time you get back, boss. Good. Naruto nodded, mentally noting how useful Kage Bunshin were. Now if there was only some way to get some decent food. Blasphemy. The clone gasped. Ramen is the food of the 1,000 kami. Naruto chuckled in agreement, then turned to continue his interrupted journey. I'm going to have a walk round, maybe visit the old man to ask who's on my team and why am I even telling you that. You're me, the clone laughed. We'll get things done for you. Good luck with our team, maybe Sakura-chan will be on it. As long as the team isn't, she might stop hitting us. That would be amazing. Naruto said dreamily, then he turned and walked towards the stairs. Wish me luck, Mies. Good luck. 3 of the clones chorused and Naruto left, chuckling. 3 hours later, his good mood had almost vanished, although the average non-ninja observer wouldn't have been able to tell. Whenever he walked near a crowd, he would hear whispers along the lines of how could they let it become a ninja, or it won't be long before that thing snaps and goes on a killing spree, as well as several other comments which showed that they had known all along about his burden, but had put the same interpretation on it as Mizuki had. Turning, Naruto strode through the entrance of the Hokage Tower, and scampered up the stairs. Hey Ajiji! He called, and his adoptive grandfather looked up from the paperwork he was perusing with a smile that lightened Naruto's heart. Naruto, it's good to see you, he said as he waved for Naruto to take a seat. So, what brings Konoha's newest genin into my office today? Naruto grinned at the reminder of how he had attained the long-desired rank. Well, I was wondering who was going to be on my team. Naruto admitted. I'm sure you'd just love to give me the hat and all, but even I know that's not gonna happen yet. Very true. Hiruzen agreed gravely, although Naruto caught the gleam of laughter in the old shinobi's eyes. The teams are still being arranged and the Jonin sensei is assigned to them. Cool. Naruto breathed, then he frowned. So that means that I can't tell you what the teams are right now. Hiruzen supplied. You know, in just 1 week you'll know which team you are going to be assigned to and who your Jonin sensei will be. As long as I get an awesome one, it'll be cool. Naruto exclaimed, then he blinked as a blur deposited even more paperwork on Hiruzen's desk. Why don't you head out to get your official photo taken for the files? Hiruzen suggested. And tomorrow, after you bring the photo and I approve it, I'll take you out for some celebratory ramen. You're the greatest, GG. Naruto exulted, his previous good mood fully restored. One awesome pic coming right up. Hiruzen laughed as Naruto bounced out of the office, then sighed as he looked at the top sheet of paperwork. So how do I find where to get the photo? Naruto muttered to himself as he walked down the main street. Naruto? Naruto looked round to see who had called him, his gaze coming to rest on a familiar dark-haired girl who was staring at him from beside a taller, red-eyed woman with longer midnight black curly hair. A brief moment's thought brought up the younger girl's name. Heya, Hinata! Naruto called as he jogged over, grinning hugely as he pointed at his Hitite. I made it. I'm a ninja too, I heard about that. The taller woman said, and Naruto gave her a curious look. I'm Jonin Yuhi Kurenai, pleased to meet ya. Naruto replied. Genin Uzumaki Naruto, future Hokage. Hinata giggled then gave a small bow. Probationary Genin Hyuga Hinata, honored to meet you. Wait. Naruto said, Probar Probi Probana what's a Genin? I thought you passed? The others who passed the academy exam are all currently probationary Genin. They will become full Genin when they are taken as students by a Jonin sensei. Kurenai explained. You were granted a field promotion, so even if you don't get a Jonin sensei, you'll still be an official Genin and able to take missions. Hinata gave Naruto an odd look and his grin grew wider. Yep, I'm awesome. So, what you doing? We don't get teams till next week, so we are going to be working on my chakra control. Hinata said quietly. I need to build up my reserves. Chakra control. Naruto groaned. That's my weak point. I blew up the leaf last time I tried. It sounds like you almost certainly have too much chakra. Kurenai mused. If you wish, I can teach you a new exercise that should be fairly easy for you, then you can work your way back down to leaf floating. So, training? Naruto exclaimed. Count me in. If that's okay with you, Hinata. I mean, she is your teacher, right? It's fine. Hinata squeaked, turning red, and Naruto grabbed her shoulders. Hinata, you're turning red. Are you getting a fever? Let me check your temper at ARGH. Kurenai. Hinata's collapsed. She'll be fine. Kurenai smiled. However, if I can ask a favor, Naruto gave Kurenai a quizzical look. Favor? Well, it's a bit of a walk to the practice grounds, and this is where we are going to practice. Hinata heard as she regained consciousness to find herself being carried on someone's back. For a moment, she thought that she was being carried by Kurenai, but the hair against the side of her face was all wrong for that. Wow, cool place. Naruto's voice said, and Hinata frowned mentally. It wasn't Kurenai who was carrying her, and Naruto was nerve. Hinata's thoughts hiccuped to a stop as she realized that it was Naruto who was carrying her. But before she could do anything, Naruto was speaking again. Let me put Hinata down. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. A wave of chakra seemed to flow through Hinata, engulfing her in a feeling of protectiveness. Then she heard Kurenai gasp. Oh, how did that happen? Naruto asked, and Hinata opened her eyes, glancing round, to see herself staring back at her from the back of another Naruto. Good heavens, Kurenai breathed, her gaze switching rapidly between Hinata and her unexpected clone. I know that the Kage Bunshin technique duplicates what someone is carrying, but to duplicate an entire person? Hinata took advantage of Naruto's shocked stillness to lower herself to the ground, an action copied by her clone. Both girls glanced at each other, then looked down, tapping the tips of their forefingers. Well, Kurenai said slowly. I see that Hinata's clone has her mannerisms. Clone Hinata, what was the last flower you pressed? A bell flower. The clone replied, and Hinata nodded in agreement. So you have Hinata's memories too. Do you know what Naruto had for breakfast? The clone shook her head, and Kurenai hummed thoughtfully. I've never seen this done before, she finally admitted. But it would seem that you've somehow cloned Hinata as a byproduct of cloning yourself. Even having just found out about it, I can tell you that once word spreads amongst the Jonin, you'll become the favorite support ninja in the village for A and S ranked missions, which means we need to keep this quiet, or enemy shinobi will target you specifically in order to stop you boosting our forces. I don't get it. Naruto admitted, and Kurenai sighed. Sit. She commanded, sinking to the ground, and the others followed suit, the two Hinatas descending gracefully while the two Narutos simply flopped into a seated sprawl. Now, about your potential as part of a team. If you manage to learn how you cloned Hinata, you could potentially do it for an entire group at once, thus doubling their numbers. Repeat it enough times, and Konoha could field an entire army comprised purely of A and S rank shinobi, each at full power and with all their abilities. Imagine having a dozen Hokages step onto the battlefield with another dozen in reserve. No enemy would choose to stay around at that point. Yeah, Gigi showed me some of his skills when I was younger. Naruto agreed. He's awesome, and that is why we need to keep it a secret for now. Kurenai stated. If I can see that potential, so can Konoha's enemies, and until you get strong enough to defend yourself against enemy jonin, we need to keep this skill quiet. So I can't use clones? Naruto asked, and Kurenai sighed at the proof that he had missed the point she was trying to make. You can use as many clones as you want, just don't clone anyone else unless they already know about it and have given permission. Kurenai stated. The two Narutos turned to look at Hinata and her clone. I don't mind. One of the Hinatas said quietly. On the plus side, using clones can help with your training. Kurenai added, and both Narutos stared at her in incomprehension. Huh? Indeed. Kurenai said, rising. Naruto, stay here. Clone Naruto, come with me. Naruto watched his clone follow the jonin to the edge of the clearing before they vanished into the trees. Then a memory popped up in his mind. I'm going to learn how to walk on water. Awesome, how did you know that? Kurenai called as she walked back towards him, his clone nowhere to be seen. You told me. Naruto said blankly, then he paused. How? I was here, but you told me behind that tree. I don't understand. I told your clone, then dispelled him. Kurenai explained as she reached them. When you dispel a Kage Bunshin, you get back all their memories, in this case, me explaining what the first exercise for you will be. Naruto stared at her for a moment. I think I get it. So, everything they learn I get back? Kurenai nodded. Yes, but too many memories at once will hurt your brain or worse, so we'll work our way up slowly. I did several hundred clones when I beat up the traitor. Naruto supplied. And how long did it take? A few minutes? So a few minutes times 100 or so clones is maybe 4 or 5 hours worth of memories. And since you were concentrating on one thing, most of those memories will have blurred together. Kurenai mused. Create 4 clones for now and we'll train for an hour before dispelling them so you get their memories. That should be fairly safe and we can work our way up to higher numbers. Yay, training! Naruto shouted as he flipped to his feet and made the clone seal. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Chapter 2, Training of a New Genin. Kurenai shook her head in bemused amusement as she looked at her audience. After explaining to Naruto, in very simple terms, the memory transfer function of the Kage Bunshin and how it could be used to help training in ninjutsu and in recon, she had demonstrated the water walking technique and Naruto had sent a quartet of clones to practice. Her next demonstration, tree walking, had left Naruto gobsmacked for a moment before he had generated another 4 clones and sent them to practice, joined by the accidentally created clone of Hinata, while Kurenai covered some of the basic knowledge that Naruto had somehow failed to acquire during his days in the academy. So, now I've explained the difference between shinobi ranks and official ranks. Do you have any questions? Iruka-sensei is really an A-ranked shinobi? Naruto burst out and Kurenai nodded. Yes, he is. If he wanted to put the effort in, he could be S-ranked, but he is perfectly happy teaching future generations of shinobi. And most A and B are B or sometimes C-ranked, while the Chunin who kept trying to chase me are normally C-ranked. Naruto mused. No wonder Iruka-sensei was always able to catch me after my pranks. I thought I was getting rusty or something. Being able to hide from your pursuers while wearing bright orange is quite impressive. Kurenai allowed. If you ever went for darker colors, you'd be almost impossible to track for anyone without a Byakugan. In fact, Kurenai rose from her kneeling position and cast a quick genjutsu that projected a compulsion to gather round. The 8 clones ran up from the trees and lake, forming up around her. Now, real Naruto, with me, but make another dozen clones for this. Excellent. All Naruto clones, head into the trees, no more than 200 meters distance from the edge of the clearing. I want Hinata and Hinata to take the role of hunter nins, find and dispel the clones. This way, both of you get training. Naruto, you get training in escape, evasion and survival, while Hinata gets training in tracking and attacking. Hinata's, a light juken strike will dispel a Kage Bunshin. Naruto's, try not to make it easy since the harder the training, the better it is. Begin. The clones scattered, the 2 Hinatas in hot pursuit, and Kurenai looked at Naruto. While we're waiting for the exercise to finish, do you remember how to dispel genjutsu? Naruto stared at her blankly. Hinata was impressed. She had thought that Naruto's bright orange trousers and jacket would be easy to spot, but his natural stealth skills countered the obvious color to an incredible degree. In addition, Naruto acted in ways that she had never encountered in her clan's tracking exercises before, ways that she would have to use herself in future exercises. He wouldn't balance on branches, he would hang underneath or cling to the trunk. He could squirm through low bushes without disturbing a single leaf or dart across open spaces fast enough that if she blinked at the wrong time, she would never know he had been there. Byakugan. Hinata blinked as she heard her clone activate their dojutsu, then she nodded in understanding. She was barely a D-ranked shinobi in her own right. If she was to catch the elusive clones, she needed to use every single advantage that she had. Horse, tiger, boar, hare, rat, dog, horse, dog, hare, rat, boar, snake, Byakugan. The world shifted around her and her eyes widened as she saw one clone crouched in the bush just behind her. A bush that she could have sworn was empty. She got another. Naruto reported as he tried to suppress his chakra again, and Kurenai cocked an inquisitive eyebrow at him. Kick to the shoulder. Felt odd though, more like that hand strike of hers. I didn't know that she could use Juken through her feet. Kurenai mused. And I think that was the last one. Naruto added. I didn't even see her that time. Just a poke in the back of the neck. She's good. Thank you, Naruto-kun. Hinata said as she emerged from the undergrowth. I'm glad you think so. The second Hinata said, and Naruto smiled. You did amazing, both of you. I can see I'm going to need to practice my stealth more. Can we do this again tomorrow? Kurenai glanced up at the darkening sky and nodded. I have to get Hinata back to her home soon. But here again tomorrow at 1:30. Sure thing. Naruto said, giving her a quick bow, then pulling both Hinatas into a hug. See you tomorrow. He chirped, then he bounced off, leaving Hinata and her clone both blushing so hard that Kurenai was amazed that the air wasn't glowing red around them. I think you shouldn't dispel the clone yet, Kurenai said with a wicked smile. Let's tell your father that it was the unexpected result of a jutsu. The two Hinatas looked at each other and started to giggle. Arg. Naruto's voice echoed from around the corner. I completely forgot. Where do I go to get the registration photo? Office 1C in the tower. Kurenai called back. The Chunin there will be able to take the photo for you on top of the Hokage's tower. Thanks. Naruto hollered back and both Hinatas started to giggle again. What the? A girl's voice said and all three Kunoichi turned to see a pink-haired girl staring at them. 2 weak little mice? Kurenai frowned as Sakura sniffed and strode off, muttering a comment just loud enough to be overheard while quiet enough that it could be argued that she was simply talking to herself. At least they're not competition for Sasuke-kun, even though they'll never become good ninja. That was rude. Kurenai said slowly. Who was she? Harino Sakura. Hinata said quietly. She was the Kunoichi of the year thanks to her perfect test scores and is one of the girls who keeps chasing Uchiha Sasuke, even though he's never shown any interest in girls. A fangirl. Kurenai sighed, shaking her head. Thank goodness you're not one. Fangirls do not make good Kunoichi. Ano, Kurenai-senpai, Hinata began. Could you help me to learn to be braver? The other one finished and Kurenai smiled. You are doing a great job already. You only fainted 3 times around Naruto today, and you were able to bring yourself to dispel his clones. Both Hinatas blushed. Hey, you the photo nin? Naruto half-yelled as he almost erupted through the doorway. I need my photo for the files. And it's gotta look awesome, not even a chance to finish my coffee. The Chunin behind the desk groaned. Oh well, let's get this over with. So, name Uzumaki Naruto, how did you know that? Naruto asked. I've never seen you before, have I? I'm a sensei type. Name Zaji. The brown-haired ninja said as he rummaged through the desk drawers. That's how I knew who you were, a new genin with almost Kage levels of chakra and less control than the average academy student? Only one person fits that description. Hey! Naruto protested. I'm getting better, I can water walk and can almost tree walk. Hinata-chan really helped me by telling me what I was doing wrong. And what were you doing wrong? Zaji prompted, his voice muffled as he pulled out several large folders from the box under the desk. I kinda toppled a tree by using too much chakra. Naruto admitted and Zaji jolted, causing the desk to lift slightly. A moment later he reappeared, rubbing the back of his head. Ouch. You toppled a tree just by pushing chakra into it? Have you ever thought about doing that with your fists? Naruto blinked. Huh? Why would I want to topple trees with my fists? I meant the chakra push thing. Zaji sighed as he stood up, holding the camera equipment. If you manage to send out a pulse of chakra just as you hit something, it makes the impact a lot stronger. Of course, gathering the pulse means that someone like me can sense that it is coming. So should I try to learn how? Naruto asked and Zaji nodded. You should. Sensei-type ninja are fairly rare, so you'll have the advantage more often than you won't. Plus, if you get it working, you'll be able to claim it as a personal technique. I've got a few of my own, as have many of the shinobi. Wow. I'll have to try and come up with some awesome techniques. Naruto grinned as they emerged onto the roof. Zaji pointed to one of the sheltering awnings. Stand just there and look as serious as you can, but don't frown. Naruto bounced to the indicated point as Zaji set up the camera and tripod with the ease of experience. Now, look at the camera. Naruto blinked as a flash of light almost blinded him. Oh. What was that? That was one of the basic field jutsu, often used for signaling. Zaji said slowly. Didn't you come across it at the academy? No? Can you teach me? It's quite simple. Zaji said as he put away the tripod. You start by focusing chakra in your thumb and first finger, then you release it as you click your fingers like this. As Zaji's middle finger impacted against the base of his thumb, a small but bright pulse of chakra sparked between his thumb and first finger. Cool. Naruto breathed. You practice it, I'll file the paperwork. Zaji said as he vanished down the stairs. Behind him, the roof was suddenly lit by a flash of light brighter than a lightning bolt. Arg. My eyes. Oh, don't look directly at it or use too much chakra. Zaji shouted. Now you tell me. And here we are, Kurenai said as the trio walked up to the Kurenai's front door. Now, before we go in, Kurenai's comment was halted by a massive flash of light from the top of the Hokage tower that left them blinking several times. What was that? I don't know, Kurenai admitted. It wasn't an explosion, I'll check tomorrow. For now, why don't we finish arranging those pressed flowers of yours? With 2 of you, it'll be done twice as fast. Yes, Kurenai-senpai. We'll probably be done before your father gets here to pick you up. Kurenai smiled as she opened the front door. Naruto dropped the empty pot of ramen into the trash can and flopped onto the sofa. What a day. He sighed in satisfaction. I can water walk and know a cool jutsu to blind my enemies. Take that, team! The familiar surge of clone memories flowed through him, and he winced. Ouch, I didn't realize that my orange was actually painful to Hinata. Maybe I should ask her to help me get a different orange, a darker one. Wow, the world through the Byakugan looks weird. Wait, was that Sakura? Oh, that was mean. I don't think Hinata-chan deserved that. Wait. Naruto's eyes slammed open. Those were Hinata's memories. Arg. Hinata wavered as her clone's memories integrated with her own. That's the problem with Kage Bunshin, Kurenai noted. If you're not prepared, the memory inflow can be rather disorientating. I was unaware that my daughter knew that particular jutsu, Hayashi noted from the front door, and Kurenai shrugged. She doesn't. What? She doesn't, Kurenai repeated. We found a way to use someone else's chakra to make a Kage Bunshin, and Hinata has just confirmed that she gets the memories from the clone, not the person who actually performed the jutsu. Fascinating, Hayashi mused. Should this person become strong enough, they could aid by duplicating the person most suited to the mission in question. Lack of skill would no longer matter. May I learn the name of the one who has developed such an incredible technique? Kurenai gave a small nod and Hinata answered. Uzumaki Naruto, father. Hayashi blinked several times. What? But he failed the academy exam. He's a full genin now, Kurenai corrected. The Jonin lounge was buzzing about it earlier. It's quite a tale. They pulled Irika in to tell it since he was part of it. Then I shall have to visit tonight to find out the details, Hayashi stated. Thank you for looking after my daughter. It has been an honor to be entrusted with her care, Kurenai replied with a smile. Good night, Hinata-chan. Good night, Kurenai-senpai, Hinata replied as she moved to stand by her father. Chapter 3, Equipping of a New Genin. There he is, Hinata said, and Kurenai blinked. He seems nervous. The subject of their conversation turned as they approached, and Kurenai's eyes widened slightly as she realized what was different about him. Naruto wasn't wearing his normal orange jacket while his trousers were dark blue civilian wear, totally unsuited to combat training. Kurenai-san, Hinata, Naruto said in greeting, one hand rubbing the back of his head. Hi, Naruto, Kurenai said in return. You seem less relaxed than yesterday. Yeah, I kinda found out something, Naruto admitted, but I'm not a perv or anything like that. I just didn't know it would happen, and by the time I worked it out, it had already finished, and so I... Naruto stiffened to attention at Kurenai's shout. Hi, just tell us briefly what happened. No excuses, no opinions, just the facts. I kinda got Hinata-chan's clone's memories when she dismissed it yesterday, Naruto half whispered. And I didn't realize Sakura could be that mean. You totally aren't a timid little mouse. Heck, you're awesome at... Wait a minute, Kurenai said slowly. You're saying you got the memories too? Hinata and Naruto chorused. Hinata got the memories when her clone dispelled, Kurenai explained slowly, her mind flicking through what the newest revelation meant. So don't try it with anyone unless they know about this and give permission. Alright? Kurenai sighed and Naruto nodded. Okay. Now those clothes won't hold up to any real training, so, about that, I was hoping Hinata could help me pick out new ones. Naruto interrupted, pulling out a frog-shaped wallet stuffed full of Ryo from one of his pouches. I mean, I don't want to hurt her eyes every time I make loads of clones and Hinata sees colors way better than me. I didn't even realize that my trousers and jacket were different shades until I got her memories of it. I spent an hour last night trying to see for myself, but I couldn't. Women can see more shades of color than males, Kurenai agreed. Hinata, do you want to? Hinata nodded. I'll be happy to help, Naruto-kun. Naruto promptly engulfed Hinata in a hug. Thanks, Hinata-chan. Hinata? Ack. Kurenai-san. Hinata's collapsed again. Kurenai managed not to giggle at Naruto's panic. You remember what we did yesterday when Hinata collapsed? She prompted and Naruto nodded. Sure thing. Can you support her for a moment? I don't want to accidentally copy her while she's out cold. Kurenai held Hinata's limp form as Naruto created two clones who promptly placed Hinata on the original Naruto's back before dispelling. Alright. Now, since you're a shinobi now, you can shop at the shinobi-only shops, Kurenai said with a smile. They tend to have good quality items optimized for shinobi, since the owners have their own experience to draw upon. We'll start with Higarishi's. They do a good young shinobi line of reinforced clothing. Cool, and this is where we are going to get most of your new stuff. Hinata heard as she regained consciousness to find herself being carried on someone's back. For a moment, she thought that she was being carried by Kurenai, but the hair against the side of her face was all wrong for that, yet somehow very familiar. Wow, cool place. Naruto's voice said, and Hinata frowned mentally. It wasn't Kurenai who was carrying her, and Naruto was nerve. Hinata's thoughts hiccuped to a stop as she realized that it was Naruto who was carrying her for the second time in as many days. But before she could do anything, Naruto was speaking again. I think Hinata just woke up. You awake, Hinata-heim? I am. Hinata squeaked, and Naruto half-knelt, allowing her to get her feet back on solid ground. Hinata took the advantage of Naruto facing the other way to shoot Kurenai a small glare, to which the older Kunoichi responded with a bright smile, her eyes twinkling with mirth. Higarishis. Hinata read from the sign above the door. They're very good for the basic stuff. Kurenai supplied. Combat trousers and tops, sandals, kunai, shuriken, ninja wire tags, all of the basic things that any well-equipped shinobi required. Come on. Kurenai led the way into the shop and they were greeted by the young teenage girl behind the counter. Welcome to Higarishi's Weapons and Supplies. Can I help you? Basic outfitting. Kurenai said, pointing to Naruto, and the girl stepped out from behind the counter, circling Naruto as she looked at him with a measuring eye. I'd say size 4, medium length for the trousers. Those sandals still have a bit of wear in them, but I'd advise replacing them in about 4 weeks or so. For the top, size 4 as well. What's your fighting style? He's a brawler. Kurenai interjected. Mesh enhanced then, to protect against slashes. The girl stated. You want sections 14 and 32. I'd recommend at least 3 of each, maybe 4. I'll get them. Hinata offered as she scampered off. So, weapons. The girl continued. Let's see what you have. Naruto pulled out a kunai and the girl flinched. What? I only got them a week ago. Naruto protested. Dad, what is it, Tenten? A deep voice replied from the back. We need a full set of kunai and shuriken. What? Naruto protested as Tenten's hands seemed to blur, pulling out all of his lovingly polished weapons and lining them up on the counter. I've got the clothes. Hinata said as she returned. What's going on? That's what I'd like to know. The deep-voiced man said as he stepped through the door, then his eyes latched onto the weapons on the counter. Ouch. Who on earth uses that? He rumbled, picking up a kunai and examining it. This is bad, metal crystallization, badly forged, no real edge, badly balanced. This would barely count as a training kunai. I paid 5,000 ryo for those. Naruto grumped, and both man and daughter flinched. Kid, you were robbed. The man stated. The last time I saw a kunai this bad was Tenten's first attempt at making one when she was 7, and that was before I taught her how it was really done. Normally a full set would set you back 2,000 ryo, but if you give me the name of the moron who sold you these and let me have them as scrap, which is all they're good for, I'll have that price. I got them from Shima's shinobi weapons. Naruto said slowly, and the man nodded even as he scooped the weapons into a bag. Okay. In future, you need anything ninja-related, you come here and I'll treat you fair. He said. Name's Kyugu, Higarishi Kyugu, that's my daughter Tenten. Gloves. Hinata exclaimed, and everyone looked at her in confusion, causing her to blush. What do you mean? Kurenai asked gently. I was thinking about what Naruto-kun needs. Hinata mumbled. He blocks a lot, so something like metal-lined gloves. Got just the thing. Kyugu said after taking a long look at Naruto's hands. Wait a moment. Kyugu vanished down one of the shop aisles, then reappeared. Fingerless gauntlets with overlapping metal plates on the outside. He explained, handing them over. Open design, more bracer than gauntlet, but the metal inserts on the knuckles help you punch. Naruto finished donning the gauntlets and took several swings, causing Tenten to flinch. Who taught you to fight? She winced. Mizuki, Naruto said, realization dawning mid-word. He screwed up my style, didn't he? Damn him, he said it was a special style only I could use. I spend hours every day trying to make it work. You'll need to inform your sensei that you urgently require taijutsu training once you've been assigned to your team. Kurenai noted. I saw how you fought against Hinata. Your stance wasn't like anything I've ever seen before. Another thing to try and fix. Naruto grumped. Why the hell did I even think the academy was useful? Iruka was the only decent teacher there. Now you know of the problem, you can solve it. Kyuga stated. The most important thing any shinobi needs to know is themselves. No lies, no delusions, just the basic truth about themselves, because if someone else knows you better than you know yourself, they'll be able to manipulate you to their will no matter what you want. Naruto gave a slow nod. So how much for all this? 2,000 ryo. What? Naruto gasped. But the clothes, the weapons, 2,000 ryo. Kyuga repeated. You've been screwed over enough. It's time to help get you straightened up. Just accept it. Kurenai advised. Thanks. Naruto said with a smile, then he picked up a pair of trousers and one of the armor mesh-lined t-shirts from the pile. Do you have somewhere I can get changed? The bell above the door tinkled and the woman behind the counter looked up. Welcome to Silken Leaf Fashions. She chirped. Ah, Kurenai. Here for another dress? Not today, Kunakata. Kurenai said, nodding towards the 2 genin who had followed her in. I'm escorting Naruto. He wants something that looks good but will stand up to combat. Kunakata rose from behind the counter and limped round. Both genin stared at the prosthetic that had replaced her left foot, and the woman smiled. Long skirts are not good for kunoichis. she said in explanation, and Hinata nodded in understanding. So any specific requests? Orange? Naruto asked. Not bright orange, more darker orange, cause orange is cool but too much can hurt the eyes and I'm shutting up now. I'd recommend putting the Uzumaki clan crest on the shoulders of your t-shirts, Kunakata mused. And if you want orange, maybe a Hayori? Add some inner pockets for storage and a mesh layer, it'll help to reduce injury in combat. Hinata nodded as Naruto glanced at her. Hinata probably has a better idea than I do, he admitted. However, I'd like to include this as well. Naruto pulled out the clan tag that he normally wore on the shoulder of his jacket, and Kunakata nodded as she took it. Easily done, I can simply mount it on the cord that holds the Hayori in place. Let me get a few measurements, and I can have two complete within the hour. Leave the t-shirts as well and I'll add the crest to the shoulders. Left, right, or both? Left, please. Hinata requested, and Kunakata smiled. Left? Naruto queried, then he shrugged. I don't see a difference, so sure. Left. Come back in 2 hours. Kunakata ordered. While we're waiting, there's a few things I think I should check. Kurenai said once they'd returned to the training field. Naruto, how well can you read? Not very. Naruto sighed. I had to teach myself, there's quite a bit I still don't understand. Hinata? Hinata blushed, but nodded. I'll help, but it's almost time for me to go back home. Maybe if you left a clone, Kurenai mused, and Hinata brightened. Okay. She smiled as she placed her hand on Naruto's shoulders, then she eeped as Kurenai gently pushed her into Naruto's arms. We don't know how much contact it needs, so let's play it safe. Kurenai explained. Naruto? One set of clones, please. Hinata closed her eyes as the wash of chakra flowed through her, shivering in pleasure. Hinata, you cold? Naruto asked, and Hinata shook her head as she stepped away from him. No, I was just thinking about something. Clone Hinata, here's my house key. Take clone Naruto there and start going through some of the basic books on my shelf. Kurenai ordered. Naruto, I'd recommend practicing with your new kunai and shuriken. In fact, go back to Higarishi's and ask if they can help you with that. Tenten is a weapons mistress in training, if memory serves, and they have a training yard out the back. I'll escort Hinata to her home, then come and pick you up so that you can pick up your new clothes. Okay. Naruto grinned, then he hugged Hinata. Thanks, Hinata. Today would have sucked without you. Why, you're welcome, Hinata managed as Naruto released her and raced off. Kurenai waited for a moment to ensure that she wasn't about to faint, then touched her shoulder to get her attention. Let's go, she said. You'll see him again tomorrow and you'll get memories of teaching him later. Hinata smiled. Chapter 4. Teaching of a new genin. There he is, Hinata said, and Kurenai smiled at Hinata's eagerness. Wow, he looks better than I expected. Kurenai's smile widened as she took in the sight of the distant genin. He had replaced his old blue sandals with black ones to match his trousers, while dark orange wraps covered the gap between the sandals and the trousers. His Hayori reached almost to mid-thigh, and from the way it hung, Kurenai could tell that it was armored. As he turned, a kunai pouch was briefly visible attached to his belt, while the flapping of fabric showed a line of shuriken attached to a magnetic strip just inside the Hayori itself. Hinata, Kurenai-san! He shouted in greeting, and Hinata returned his exuberant wave with a smaller, but no less heartfelt one. Naruto-kun, you look great, Hinata managed, and Naruto's grin widened. Thanks to you, Hinata, he said in reply, and Hinata blushed. Hey, Kurenai-san! What awesome stuff are you teaching today? It'll be Hinata doing most of the teaching, Kurenai said with a smile. I think her teaching you is helping her as much as it is you, albeit in different ways. I brought books for you to practice reading as well as some maths worksheets. As she spoke, Kurenai pulled out a small scroll and unrolled it on the ground, swiping one finger across it. A cloud of chakra smoke formed and dissipated, revealing 3 small stacks of books: history, field tactics, and maths. Kurenai said, indicating the piles. Hinata'll teach you via clone, so you'll both need 3 clones for this. Naruto waited for Hinata to nod in confirmation before he caught her in a hug and made the familiar hand seal behind her back. Kurenai nodded in approval as the newly created clones gathered up the books and then moved to different places around the field so that they didn't accidentally interfere with each other. Today will be stretching and flexibility exercises, Kurenai said. Naruto, if you could send a dozen clones to practice water and tree walking, that would be good. Kurenai waited for the newly created clones to run off to the trees and lake before she pulled out another scroll and unsealed a trio of rolled-up mats. Passing one to each genin, she unrolled the third and shed her sandals before stepping onto it. You probably haven't done these exercises before, Naruto, so pay attention and try to copy Hinata and myself as best you can, she said gently. We will start with basic stretches. Keep one leg straight, hands on your hips, and bend the other leg like this. Naruto wobbled for a moment as he tried to follow the moves that the 2 females were doing so effortlessly. Are you alright? Hinata asked worriedly as Naruto lay sprawled on the grass. How do you do that? Naruto groaned. I thought I was fit. There are different sorts of fitness, Kurenai said from where she was finishing rolling up the mats. You're used to high-energy movement, running, jumping, that sort of thing. These exercises were all about flexibility, control, and precision. I'm aching, but it's sorta in a good way. Naruto mused. I'm not sure I can move at the moment though. Hinata, you might want to lie down as well, Kurenai suggested. It's almost time to dispel the clones. Hinata sat down, then glanced at Naruto measuringly. It's okay, Hinata. Naruto groaned. I know you don't want to get leaves in your hair, so you can borrow my Hayori to use as a pillow, huh? Naruto lifted his head to look down at Hinata, who was resting her head on his stomach while she clasped his hand in both of hers. Kurenai looked over at them, and promptly raised a hand to hide her smile. Kurenai-senpai? Alright, first pair, dispel. Kurenai ordered, and both genin twitched slightly as the first set of memories cascaded into their minds. That looks very comfortable. One of the clone Hinatas whispered to herself enviously, and Kurenai fought down a sudden attack of the giggles. Okay, ready for the next one. Naruto called out. Hinata-heim? I'm ready. Kurenai nodded at the next pair, both of whom promptly dispelled. Even as she fought to integrate the new memories, Hinata blushed at how she and Naruto looked, but didn't move. Kurenai turned away before she could lose control over her giggles. Kurenai-san. Kurenai stiffened in shock, then spun to face the new arrival, who was fortunately standing just out of view of the clones. We're ready for the final ones? Hinata called, and Kurenai spared a moment to nod at the remaining pair of clones before turning her attention back to the man in the trees. Hayashi-sama, she said with a slight bow, and Hayashi stepped forwards, his expression inscrutable. I see that my daughter is willing to aid Uzumaki and is becoming a friend to him, Hayashi said, and Kurenai nodded. I determined that Hinata's confidence improved every time she helped Naruto to recover from what seems to have been a campaign of neglect during his days at the academy, so the use of clones seemed to be a viable way of increasing that improvement without spending too much time that could be used in other forms of training. Hayashi held up a hand to halt Kurenai's explanation. I have no problem with Uzumaki aiding my daughter in becoming stronger, he stated. However, my daughter will soon be assigned to a team, and I would appreciate a chance to gain the measure of one who may be her teammate. I have already spoken to the Inuzuka and the Aburame. Not the Uchiha? Kurenai asked, and Hayashi shook his head. No. My sources in the tower tell me that he will almost certainly be on the same team as the Haruno girl, with the third being either the Inuzuka or Uzumaki. If it's not Naruto, your daughter will be depressed, Kurenai admitted. What can you tell me about him? Kurenai glanced over to where Naruto had got to his feet and was helping Hinata up. What sort of information do you need? A standard character report should suffice, Hayashi said with a slight smile, and Kurenai nodded. Uzumaki Naruto, parentage unknown or classified. Orphan. Failed the academy but was promoted to genin after succeeding in an unplanned field mission. Very high chakra levels which make it hard for him to concentrate for long periods of time. Although the chakra control exercises have already provided a small but noticeable improvement in that. Current ratings are Taijutsu, low, Ninjutsu, medium to high, Shurikenjutsu, low to medium, general knowledge, poor, but part of this is due to passive sabotage in the academy and Naruto having to learn to read and write without assistance. Future potential is very high in all fields. Thanks, Kurenai-san. Naruto chirped from behind her. I'm gonna get as good as I can, 'cause I'm gonna become the Hokage. Believe it. Hayashi glanced at his daughter, who was nodding in agreement. And how are you intending to improve that much? He asked. Simple, Hinata's helping me and she's awesome, Naruto responded, giving Hinata a one-armed hug as she blushed. My reading skills have shot way up since she started teaching me. Soon I'll be on the same level as most of the others, and it's all because of how amazing Hinata-heim is. And would you say that Kurenai-san's summation of your skills was indeed a precise reflection of your current capabilities? Naruto stared at him blankly. Did Kurenai-san get the list of your skills right? Hinata whispered into Naruto's ear, and he brightened in understanding. Mostly, but she got the taijutsu wrong. It isn't low. I completely suck at it thanks to being taught all wrong. I'm trying to relearn the academy style, but while it feels better, it still doesn't quite feel right. When I get a Jonin sensei, I'm gonna have to ask for taijutsu training as the most important thing I need. Hayashi raised a mental eyebrow at the brutal honesty in Naruto's reply, but didn't allow a hint to show on his face. It is rare to meet a shinobi who doesn't allow self-deception to overrule self-knowledge. He offered. Well, when both teacher and sparring partner wince at how bad you are, it's kinda difficult to claim you're good, Naruto said, rubbing the back of his head with his free hand. I've talked it over with them, and it's only my stamina and high pain Hinata? Threshold? Thanks. High pain threshold that let me win at all. Naruto finished. So I suck and I need to suck less if I have a chance at the hat. But I'll make it, believe it. Hayashi stared at Naruto for a long moment, then he turned to Hinata. Daughter, tomorrow, I will send Ko to pick you up after your training, although he may be early. Kurenai-san, you may make whatever use of him you wish if he is early. Hinata glanced briefly at Naruto, and Hayashi caught the question that she didn't dare ask. Rather than reply out loud, he inclined his head slightly to acknowledge her worry and confirm that he would deal with it. Hayashi looked up from the paperwork on his desk as a shadow announced a visitor outside his study. Briefly activating his Byakugan, Hayashi paused just long enough to slightly tidy his desk before speaking. You may enter. The door opened and Hyuga stepped through, sliding it shut behind him. Stepping forwards, he dropped into a Seiza position then bowed. You summoned me, Lord Hayashi? I did. Hayashi confirmed. As you are aware, Jonin Yuhi Kurenai has been guiding and teaching Hinata over the last few days. Hayashi paused and Ko gave a slight nod to indicate that he was indeed aware of the events that had stopped his usual task of being Hinata's bodyguard. What I am about to tell you must never be repeated. Hinata has been using the Kage Bunshin to aid in her progress. I was unaware that she had learned that kenjutsu, Lord Hayashi. I did not think her chakra reserves were large enough for such a technique. She has not learned it, and they are not. Hayashi stated, enjoying the look of confusion on Ko's face. She has been training alongside Uzumaki Naruto, who has learned that technique, and they discovered that should he create a clone while Hinata is in contact with him, he clones her as well. Ko's jaw dropped for a moment before he pulled himself back under control. When her clones dispel, she regains their memories. Hayashi added, incredible. Ko breathed, then he frowned slightly. But for her to be studying alongside him, and thus we reached the next secret. Hayashi stated. I have received permission from the Hokage to tell you this. Naruto is the third who carries the Kyuubi and you once had a crush on the second, his mother. Ko blanched. Kushina? She is his. I thought he was simply named after her. She carried the Kyuubi too, as did Senju Mito, formerly known as Uzumaki Mito and Kushina's aunt. Hayashi said in a calm voice. 3 generations of Uzumaki have held the Kyuubi, and in all that time, it has only escaped once. The seal that holds it now has been described as the masterpiece of the Yondain. In other words, you will from this day on respect Uzumaki. He is not the prisoner, he is the prison that holds it, and to strike at him is to risk the prisoner escaping. Am I clear? Ko nodded frantically. Hi, Hayashi-dano, good. Now about tomorrow. Hinata winced as Ko used a stick to swat Naruto's leg. Point the foot forwards, not out. Ko commanded. Make a fist like this and move it like so to punch. I hadn't realized that Ko was such a disciplinarian. Kurenai noted. But Naruto does seem to be improving. Given how bad he was to begin with, going to simple barroom brawling would have been an improvement. Ko noted as he walked past them to where a group of Naruto's clones were going through the first kata taught at the academy. Smooth motions. Flow like water. I think I owe your father a favor for this. Kurenai noted. I'm not very good in taijutsu, relatively speaking. I make up for it in the other fields, but, Kurenai shrugged, then she returned to watching Naruto being shown how he should have been taught to fight. With those clones, he should be caught up in 6 months or so assuming his Jonin sensei bothers to teach him. Hinata gave Kurenai a long look. Is he going to be on our team? I don't know. Kurenai sighed. I used up my favor by asking for you. Naruto, I can't say. Chapter 5, Assignment of a New Genin. The noise level of the classroom dropped significantly as Hinata and Naruto entered. Part of the sudden drop in volume was that instead of scurrying in timidly like normal, Hinata was standing up straight. Most of the reason, though, was the person who was accompanying her, a person whom everyone else in the classroom knew had failed. Of course, not everyone was focused on that fact. Ino breathed. How did the class clown hide all that yuminess? Hinata promptly shifted to slightly in front of Naruto, shielding him from Ino's semi-predatorial gaze. Hey, why is the dead last here? Kiba shouted. He failed, remember? He couldn't even do a clone. Most of it's classified, but I helped plug a hole in the security of the village and as a reward, I got promoted. Naruto shot back. And no, Sasuke couldn't have done it because he passed the test. The mission needed someone who had failed. Several of the girls in the room froze, their instant declarations that Sasuke should have had the chance to do the mission slamming into the realization that in order to have got the mission, he would have had to have failed, and Hinata capitalized on the pause. Grabbing Naruto's hand, she towed him to a pair of adjacent seats and settled down, smiling as Naruto let her rest her head on his shoulder. But how did you manage to get a pass without a clone? Kiba persisted and Naruto rose, placing his hands in a cross seal. A cloud of smoke erupted behind him, dissipating to reveal a single clone, and Naruto sat down again as the clone walked to Kiba's desk and smacked his nose with one finger, before dispelling. Ow! Kiba whined, clutching at his nose. That hurt, damn it. You know we Inuzuka have sensitive noses. That was a solid clone. Sakura gasped, and Naruto nodded. Yep, I've got way too much chakra to do one of the normal bunshin, so I learned something better. Teach me. Sasuke snapped, spinning to look at Naruto, but it was Hinata who replied. You do not have enough chakra, Sasuke-san. If you indeed wish to commit suicide by exhausting all your chakra while trying to perform a technique that you are physically incapable of, then may I ask that you first make a will? The Hyuga clan will happily take possession of the Uchiha sector once you have killed yourself, and thus ended the Uchiha's presence in Konoha. Sasuke growled as he flopped back down, and Hinata half-turned to see Naruto gaping at her. Wow, Hinata! You really told him. That was awesome. Hinata blushed and buried her face into the junction of Naruto's neck and shoulder. It would seem that young Hinata's been spending a great deal of time around Naruto. Hiruzen chuckled as he viewed the scene through his crystal ball. The opening of the classroom door caught everybody's attention, and Iruka walked in, looking at the assembled children. First of all, may I say congratulations to all of you for passing the test last week? He said. Now, before I read out your assignments, do any of you have any questions? Yeah. Kiba shouted. How come the Dobe's here? He failed the test and gave us a story about passing another way. That is correct. Naruto was given a field promotion for his actions in preventing a great loss to the village via the actions of a traitor, Iruka said, showing no sign of regret at Mizuki's fate, even though Mizuki had been his friend for years. Combined with his learning of a variant of the Bunshin, it was decided that he was indeed qualified to become a shinobi, a decision confirmed by the Sandaime Hokage himself. Do you have a problem with this? Kiba slunk back into his seat and Iruka checked his list. Right now, teams 1 through 6 are being assigned in the other classrooms, so I shall begin with Team 7. Team 7 is under the command of Jonin Hatake Kakashi and consists of the Rookie of the Year Uchiha Sasuke, the Kunoichi of the Year Hirano Sakura. Yes. Sakura exulted. Take that, Ino pig. No. Ino screamed. Sit down and shut up. Iruka roared and both Kunoichi dropped back into their chairs, pale with shock. Ahem, and Uzumaki Naruto. No. Naruto shouted, inadvertently drowning Hinata's identical exclamation out. This team sucks, because you're on it. Sakura sneered. Even trying to look as cool as Sasuke is doesn't change that fact. Iruka pointedly cleared his throat. Team 8, under Jonin Yuhi Kurenai is Aburain Shino, Hyuga Hinata and Inuzuka Kiba. Hinata sighed sadly and cuddled up against Naruto. Team 9 is still in rotation, so Team 10, under Saratobi Asuma, will be Nara Shikamaru, Yamanaka Ino and Akamichi Choji. Damn it, Forehead gets all the luck. Ino raged. Your senseis will be here to collect you after lunch, so you are dismissed for an hour. Naruto gave Hinata a quick kiss on the cheek, then rose and walked over to where Sasuke was sitting, trying to ignore Sakura. Since we are assigned to be a team, we should try to get to know each other, he began, only to quickly step back as Sakura swung at him. Before she could recover her balance, Hinata had appeared almost out of nowhere, Byakugan blazing, and struck Sakura's right arm, numbing it. Oh, thanks, Hinata-heim, Naruto said, noting that Sasuke had taken advantage of the situation to escape. Shino, Kiba, I'm taking Hinata to Ichiraku's, my treat. Since you're on her team, you want to come as well? Sure. Kiba shrugged. Sharing sustenance is traditionally an acceptable way to encourage and enhance interpersonal relationships. Shino droned. I am honored to accept your invitation. Damn, those lessons you've been giving me really are working. Naruto whispered to Hinata as he led the impromptu group out of the classroom. I understood every word that he just said. Hinata failed to restrain her giggles at his comment. The classroom door opened and 2 figures entered, looking at the assembled genin. Team 8. The woman called and Naruto caught Hinata's shoulder as she stood. Just remember, you're totally awesome, he whispered, giving her a quick kiss on her cheek. Trust me on that. Hinata beamed at him, then quickly kissed him back before scurrying to Kurenai's side, her face glowing red as Kurenai tried to hide her smile. Team 10. The man stated and Naruto leaned back as Shikamaru, Ino and Choji filed to the bearded ninja's side. See you later, Hinata-heim. Naruto called and Hinata gave him a small wave before she vanished through the door. What does she see in a baka like you? Sakura wondered and Naruto glared at her before reaching into one of his belt pouches and pulling out a small book. And what is that? It's a book, Sakura. You know, it has paper sheets that hold words. Naruto riposted and Sakura looked taken aback at the lack of the normal chan suffix that was usually attached to her name by him. And since when does a baka like you read? Since a princess took the time to teach me. Naruto shot back. Now please hush, some of us have better things to do than listen to your screeches. As Sakura started to prepare a blistering comeback, Sasuke spoke up. I agree with the dobe. Shut up. You're starting to give me a headache. Sakura meekly sat down, glancing at the door while Sasuke raised an eyebrow at the picture of the Uchiha fan on the cover of Naruto's book. You're late. Naruto looked up from the book on the various types of traps and found himself looking at a tall shinobi standing in the now open door. The man was thin with spiky silver hair while most of his face was covered by a mask pulled up over the bridge of his nose and a Hittite angled over his left eye. My first opinion of you is that I don't like you. The new arrival mused. Meet me on the roof in 5 minutes. Don't be late. The ninja vanished in a cloud of smoke and Naruto sighed. That must have been Kakashi, he said as he slowly put his book away, then moved to the window as the other 2 dashed out of the doorway. Channeling his chakra, he swung himself out of the window and stood on the wall of the academy, then walked up to the top, grabbing the railing and vaulting over it. Interesting. The tall man mused, even though he didn't pull his attention out of the book he was reading. Wall walking already? Now who taught you that? Naruto glared at Kakashi. The way he had phrased it suggested that he had known about the way that Naruto's learning had been sabotaged, a definite minus point in Naruto's book. We're here, how did you get here before us, you baka? Sakura burst out as she sprinted through the roof access. Naruto simply sighed and moved to sit down on the furthest one of the 3 benches, letting the other 2 claim the others. So let us introduce ourselves. Name, likes, hates, dreams, Kakashi said, and Sakura raised her hand. Will you show us how? Naruto managed not to facepalm. His lessons with Hinata and later with Ko, with whom he hadn't used the shared cloning technique, had raised his social abilities to the point where he could now identify stupid questions, although usually, It was identifying them before he asked them that was the issue. Oh, okay. My name is Hatake Kakashi. I have things I like, there are things I dislike, and you aren't old enough to learn about my dreams yet. Alright, Pinky? My name is Haruno Sakura and I like Sakura broke off as she glanced at Sasuke. My dreams are. Naruto sighed as Sakura looked at Sasuke again. And your dislikes? Kakashi prompted. Naruto, as if I care. Naruto grumbled, noticing the slight frown that Kakashi gave him. Alright, Broody. My name is Uchiha Sasuke. I don't have many likes or dislikes, but my dream is to kill a certain man and rebuild my clan. And finally, Blondie. For a moment, Naruto was tempted to go all out, but then the memory of the slight frown crossed his mind and he decided to tweak his sensei. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. There are some things I like, there are some things I dislike, and my dream is mine to achieve. Stop trying to be cool, you baka. Kakashi's eye narrowed at Naruto's response, but he ignored Sakura's outburst. So, you three have passed the academy exam, but you aren't true genin yet. Kakashi stated. You won't be unless you pass my test tomorrow, and be aware that on average, 2 and 3 fail the test and have to return to the academy for another 6 months. Naruto frowned at the implication. Kakashi had already showed himself to be distressingly similar to the academy teachers, bar Irika, but he was obviously unaware of how Naruto's promotion had differed from the others. Meet me tomorrow at 7 a.m. on Training Ground 7 for your final test. Kakashi said. I'd advise you not to eat breakfast, you'll only throw it up again. Bye. Kakashi vanished in a swirl of leaves and Naruto rose from his bench. What did he mean by that? Sakura quavered. I think I'll check out the area tonight and talk to Kurenai-san. Naruto decided, vaulting over the railing and using his chakra to slide down the wall. Stop showing off, you baka! Sakura screamed. Hey, wait for me, Sasuke-kun. Kurenai paused as a familiar voice called her name. Naruto? Clone. The blonde clarified as he came to a stop beside her. Boss is checking out Training Ground 7 for tomorrow's test, but he sent a whole load of us out to get info. One of us was even sent to Hayashi Dano. Information about? Kurenai prompted. Hatake Kakashi. The clone replied. Boss is trying to put as much info together on him as possible. Do you know anything about him, and are you allowed to tell us any of that? For a start, he's known as Sharingan Kakashi for the Sharingan he has underneath his Hatake. Kurenai began, and he is consistently 3 hours late. Unless it is for a mission of C rank or above, or he has been ordered to show up on time by the Hokage. Hayashi told the clone who was sitting attentively in front of him. He said to show up by 7? The clone supplied. Then he will be there by 10. I would advise showing up at 9:30 just to be on the safe side. I'm afraid that I can't really tell you anything about your sensei. Hiruzen sighed. There are certain rules and traditions that prevent it. It was worth a try. The clone shrugged. I mean, what better source of information is there in the whole village than the Hokage? Well reasoned? Hiruzen said with a smile. I am proud of you, Naruto. You really have grown over the last week. You've already had your test and passed? Congratulations. Hinata smiled as Naruto's clone engulfed her in a hug. Hopefully the real Naruto would give her another hug when they next met. Chapter 6. Testing of a new genin. You're late. Sakura growled as Naruto strolled onto the training field. Naruto glanced round even as he felt the memories of one of the clones he had sent to give him warning should Kakashi not show up late flow into his mind. Sakura, just how late was Kakashi yesterday? Naruto queried. What made you think he wouldn't be late today? That's not the point. Sakura snarled. I knew he would be late, so I've done some extra training to get ready. Naruto commented as he moved to one of the 3 posts in the middle of the training field and leaned against it. Have either of you done anything to prepare in the last couple of hours? Lay traps? Scout out the area to learn where things are, such as the best hiding places. Check your kunai and shuriken to make sure that none of them are about to break? Sasuke looked up from where he was sitting, his expression startled. Who are you and what have you done with Naruto? I am Naruto. Naruto shot back. I just received some good advice on how to be a proper ninja, advice that no one bothered to give me before. So, I've checked all my weapons, explored the area last night, and done some research into our sensei. Who's interested? Sakura sniffed. Stop making things up, baka, if that's how you want it. Naruto shrugged. Since we have another half hour before he's going to arrive, I'm going to try and meditate. You meditate? Sakura snorted and Naruto nodded as he sat down cross-legged, his hands on his knees. Hinata showed me how. And Sakura, she isn't a timid little mouse. If she hadn't been holding back, she would be on this team, not you. Sakura stared at him, then started to stalk over and Naruto gave a covert hand signal. Stop lying, baka! Sakura shouted as she swung her fist at his head, only to fall over as Naruto vanished in a puff of smoke. I think I'll leave a clone and meditate somewhere else. Naruto said from the side of the clearing, where his clone had Kawarimi with him. Nice trick. Sasuke admitted, causing Sakura to stare at him in shock. You're late. Naruto didn't need the inflow of memories from the watch clone to inform him that their tardy sensei to be had arrived, and with a sigh, he pulled himself to his feet and stepped out from behind the tree. Well, I had to help an old lady with her shopping, then I got lost on the road of life. Kakashi said. Liar! Sakura, it's not a good idea to accuse someone of lying unless you have proof. Naruto commented. Kakashi, showing up late twice raises certain questions about your competence, or worse. If not for Gigi vouching for you, I'd lump you in with Mizuki and simply walk away right now. Kakashi stared at him for a long moment before shrugging and walking over to the 3 stumps. Pulling out an alarm clock, he placed it on the middle stump, then held up 2 small bells. Now I don't know if you've been told this, but passing the academy tests doesn't mean that you're full genin yet. You still need to pass the test set by your prospective Jonin sensei who is, in this case, me. As you can see, I have 2 bells. You have to try and take a bell from me by noon, but there are only 2 bells. Sakura pointed out and Kakashi nodded. Correct. Only 2 of you will manage to get the bells. In order to get a bell, you'll have to come at me with the intent to kill, otherwise you won't stand a chance. If you don't have a bell by the end of the test, you will return to the academy. Kakashi finished and Naruto glanced at his so-called teammates, Uchiha Sasuke and Hirono Sakura, the latter of whom was still rather disconcerted by his sudden change from trying to pursue her at every opportunity to a cool disinterest. Let me get this straight, he said slowly. We are to try to engage you in hand-to-hand combat, without a chance to prepare, to get one of the 2 bells, and if we do somehow manage to get one before the alarm goes off, we'll have to defend ourselves against our so-called teammates since they'll see whoever has the bell as an easier target than you. Is my understanding of the situation wrong? Kakashi shook his head slowly. Not really, but you're not completely right either. So, do you think that you understand the purpose of the test then? I understand perfectly, Naruto said, drawing on the many conversations he had had with Hinata, Kurenai and several members of Hinata's family over the last week. This is primarily a taijutsu test, and we all know that I suck at it. Therefore, this test is aimed at getting rid of me so you can train the last Uchiha and his fangirl without the baggage of the dead last. Sakura winced at the venom with which Naruto injected into his description of her. You 2 win, Naruto said to Sasuke and Sakura. I'll see you around. Smirking at the shocked silence, Naruto turned and walked out of the training field. If he hurried, he could join Team 8 to take up Kurenai-sensei's earlier request to provide them with an op force to practice against, and still have time to find out what missions he could take as a lone genin. And Hinata would almost certainly continue to help him relearn how to read, which was very nice of her. And she was so clever, she had worked out that by using his cloning ability on her, he could both get the experience of learning how to read and the experience of knowing how to read. His vocabulary and ability to use it was expanding faster than he had ever dreamed possible. His old textbooks were already much easier to understand now that he knew what the longer words actually meant. And now that Kakashi has shown up, only 15 minutes late, we can begin, Hiruzen said. In order of team numbers, pass or fail with overview if necessary. Team 1, total fail. None of them are suitable to be shinobi. Team 2, partial fail. 2 of them have what it takes to be genin but not elite. I recommend transferring them to the genin pool. Team 3, fail. Only 1 salvageable, although he does qualify for elite, meaning he can be reassigned if need be. Team 4 fail doesn't even begin to describe it. Suggests that student Ami be expelled for being a disruptive influence. Team 5, partial fail. 2 probably salvageable as elite genin with another 6 months at the academy. Team 6. Fail. Just fail. Team 7, long story. Kakashi sighed, attracting the attention of the other jonin. I'll explain after the others have reported. Team 8 passed, Kurenai said after a long pause. I also tested them against an op force today to get a good idea of their strengths and weaknesses. I'll have the write-up done by 7. You'll have to tell me who you hired for that, Asuma said. I may try that on my team, which passed, by the way. Team 10. So, Kakashi? Hiruzen prompted, and the copy nin sighed. The test was a non-starter. Naruto chose to walk after I explained the rules, stating that the test was an attempt to get rid of him so that I could concentrate on training the other 2. What was the test? Asuma asked. The bell test, Kakashi replied. I was testing their teamwork. Naruto failed instantly and vanished before I could give him another chance. From what I can tell and given what he went through at the academy, it was a perfectly logical conclusion that he drew, Hiruzen said, hiding his amusement at Kakashi's exasperation. And since he got his promotion in the field rather than via the academy, he can continue as a ninja and take missions. He's already signed up for the morning shift of wall patrol. But Kakashi stuttered, only for Kurenai, who was amongst the assembled jonin watching with amusement, to interrupt. Naruto provided my team with the opposing force I mentioned earlier to train against today. With the number of clones he can create, he really gave them a workout. Yash! Guy shouted from the corner where he was observing. I shall have to ask him to do the same for my youthful genin. His taijutsu was sabotaged in the academy. Kurenai warned the exuberant jonin. You may need to train him in a new style first. On the plus side, he has a certain technique that might help. But he was meant to be on my team, Kakashi protested. I asked for him. He obviously disagrees. Hiruzen shrugged. But since we need the Uchiha on a team due to political reasons, I can find another genin for your team from the general pool or the salvageable genin. If you don't think you can take a team without Naruto, I'll appoint another jonin sensei for the Uchiha's team. Kakashi seemed to wilt. I'll take the third genin. Wait. Lord Hokage, what did you mean by we need the Uchiha for political reasons? Kurenai asked. The other villages all know that the last Uchiha is now of an age to become a genin. Should we fail to field him as a shinobi, our reputation will suffer since they will assume that the Uchiha massacre was done by my command and that Sasuke is nothing more than a breeding stallion for the next generation. Hiruzen supplied. It's also why I assigned him to Kakashi. His Sharingan means that when Sasuke activates his dojutsu, Kakashi will be able to train him in its usage. Ah. Kurenai nodded. Political reasons. Of course. My apologies, I thought for a moment that it was Konoha politics, not international ones. An easy mistake to make. Hiruzen said soothingly. Kakashi, please stay. Everyone else, thank you for coming. As the Jonin filed out, Kurenai used her smaller frame to slide through the crowd until she was walking beside Mato Guy. As they exited the tower, the taller Jonin looked down at her. You wish to discuss young Naruto, I presume, Kurenai-san? Kurenai blinked at the reminder that although Guy was bombastic, overly cheerful, insanely devoted to training and tended to be as blunt as a tetsubo to the skull, this in no way equated to stupid. Kurenai briefly allowed herself to wonder just how intelligent the spandex-wearing Jonin really was, then she refocused on the conversation. Naruto has learned the Kage Bunshin, and I took it upon myself to help him learn about the memory transfer effect of it. Aha! So I can ask him to make many clones and have each one practice a different part of the kata while his true self works on stoking his flames of youth. Guy exclaimed and Kurenai blinked. Guy really was intelligent, despite appearances. It's more than that, she said, weaving a subtle genjutsu around them to prevent their conversation from being overheard. He has discovered another way of using it. Hinata has been helping him to learn how to read properly, by letting him clone her and then her clone teaches his. When her clone dispels, they both receive the memories. Guy froze. Guy, alas! That would have been such an incredible way to teach my own students the ways of youth, but none of them yet have the ability to use the Kage Bunshin, and I fear that Likuin never will. Right? Kurenai slowly said. Anyway, since he can learn techniques that way, you may be able to teach him by letting him clone you, doing one kata and dispelling the clone. An excellent, although now that I actually consider it, slightly flawed thought. Guy said, earning a confused frown. You see, should I give him the memories of one of the basic katas, irrespective of the style I will help him select, the memories will be more hindrance than help. I am a different size to him, the ratio of my torso to my limbs is different, as is my center of gravity. The memories attained that way would prove almost unusable. It would take longer for him to adapt them to his own body form than it would to learn them through the traditional katas themselves. I hadn't considered that, Kurenai admitted. Nevertheless, it is a good thought for the future. Guy continued. With the right training, he will be able to adapt new moves into his own fighting style, and it is then that he shall be able to learn as you have suggested. Kurenai mentally revised her estimate of Guy's intelligence upwards once again. Why did he go to such lengths to hide it? I shall look forwards to meeting Naruto-kun tomorrow, Guy said, but for now, I sense that my team is ready to have their fires of youth transformed into a true blazing inferno. For youth, Guy blurred away and Kurenai shook her head in amused disbelief. Why was she thinking he was intelligent again? Chapter 7, Patrol of a New Genin. Uzumaki Naruto? A voice asked and Naruto turned to look at the old man who had spoken. I'm your patrol partner for the morning, Genin Mariboshi Kosuka, although many call me the man in Genin. Naruto stared at him in shock. You're as old as Gigi. Gigi? Kosuka asked and Naruto blushed slightly, remembering several lessons in manners that Kurenai and Hinata had given him via clone teaching. Gomen, I apologize for my comment. Although I was surprised by your appearance, my behavior was inexcusable. You're forgiven, Naruto, Kosuka said, patting the, significantly, younger Genin on the shoulder. Now, who is this Gigi of yours? Hiruzen, the Hokage. Naruto explained, falling into step with Kosuka and glancing down to see that one of the old shinobi's legs ended in a prosthetic foot. I remember Hiruzen when he was younger. Kosuka reminisced, then his gaze sharpened. He had the same determination I see in you, young Naruto. I'm sure I'll see great things from you in the future. Naruto blinked. Somehow, Kosuka had, for a bare instant, radiated the same aura of strength and power that Hiruzen had occasionally displayed. I've never patrolled the wall before, Naruto said, changing the subject. I can create dozens of Kage Bunshin if you think we may need them. For patrolling, we walk along the top of the wall, watching for anything unusual. Kosuka explained. Multiple flocks of birds, gaps that weren't there the previous day, motion where there shouldn't be or stillness where there should be motion. If we see anything odd, we sound the alarm by striking the alert sequence on the pipe. Naruto followed Kosuka's glance and saw a long metal pipe half buried in the wall. The sound of the strikes go to the guard posts under the wall, and the direction of the alert tells them where they are needed. Kosuka continued. Cool, Naruto admitted. I thought it would be some sort of superjutsu or something. Why go for complicated when simplicity works so much better? Plus, if you're injured, you can still hit the pipe, even if you can't channel chakra. Kosuka shrugged, then he paused. There. You see that? A flock of birds? Naruto asked and Kosuka nodded. Yeah, but wait, another just appeared and are some more birds circling behind the first lot you pointed out. Something startled them. Kosuke said, pulling out a kunai and walking to the edge of the wall. Something moving in the trees parallel to the wall, heading east. Now pay attention to these codes, you'll need to memorize them at some point if you ever want to do this alone. Movement. South. Heading east. Distance, 1 kilometer. Speed fast. Naruto nodded as he tried to memorize the rhythms that Kosuke had tapped on the pipe. I think I got some of the signals, but I have a book you can borrow. Kosuke offered. Copy it and return it, the copying will help you memorize it. Thanks, senpai. Naruto said and Kosuke started to chuckle. Senpai am I? I'm old enough to be your grandpa, you know. Okay, it's been almost a minute and no alarms have sounded, so whatever or whoever that was is known and we can continue our patrol. Naruto gave the forest another look, then scurried to catch up with the older genin. Senpai, what's with the walk? Kosuke reached back to tap the edge of the large walk that he was wearing on his back. I have several reasons. First, it's a shield. The shape helps to deflect anything thrown at me from behind which I can't dodge. Second, when I'm in the field, I can use it to cook food in. Akamichi Chusa himself said my cooking was as good as anything he'd ever tasted in the field. Third, it's a weapon. As long as you can grip it, anything can be a club. Most ninja don't think of cooking utensils as being weapons, at least not before they wake up with bumps on their foreheads. Naruto stared at Kosuke in amazed admiration as the older man continued to share his accumulated wisdom. Good afternoon, Naruto. Kurenai called in greeting as Naruto leapt out of the branches of the trees and landed barely 20 meters away. Kurenai-san. Naruto replied with a big grin. Hey, I had wall patrol today, I remember that. Kurenai sighed. It was one of the missions I had to take as a chunin to help pay my bills. So anything interesting happened? I was teamed up with another genin, a really old one, Mariboshi Kosuke. Kurenai stated and Naruto stared at her. You know him? He's a jonin in everything but his actual rank. Kurenai said, then she frowned. He's also in high demand, odd that he was walking the wall unless... Unless what? Naruto asked after Kurenai trailed off. Never mind. Kurenai said. But he's very skilled, so you should take the opportunity to really listen to everything he chooses to tell you. And his food is amazing. If he ever offers you the chance to join him on a mission, I'd advise you to accept. He helped me when I was still a genin, gave me some good advice that I've never regretted. Cool, very. Kurenai agreed. Now we have a little while before my team return from their mission, so I think I should tell you about a conversation I had with Madogai yesterday. Naruto-kun. Hinata called in greeting as she and her teammates entered the training field. Hinata-chan. Kiba. Shino. Naruto waved back. How'd your mission go? Tora tracked, caught and returned? Kiba gloated, then he frowned. And an oddly familiar pink-haired girl stopped us for a few minutes to speak to Hinata. She wanted to apologize for what she said before the second genin test. Hinata said quietly. Apparently she and Ino had just finished another of their arguments over Sasuke, and she was in a bad mood. Excellent work on Tora, and I'm glad that Sakura apologized. Kurenai said, causing both Hinata and Kiba to smile. Even Shino seemed to radiate a sense of satisfaction briefly. Hinata, if you would? Hinata hugged Naruto, and he made his most used hand sign. You managed to do that silently. Kurenai said approvingly as clones of Naruto and Hinata appeared. Very good. Any enemy who doesn't know what that seal is would be taken by surprise. Kosuke-senpai lent me a book on combat signals to study. Naruto said as his clone fished his own copy out of his storage pouch. Ah, that book. Kurenai said with a nod of recognition. I'll get copies for the rest of you tomorrow. It'll help with tracking if you can communicate silently. The tactical advantages inherent in learning silent communication are obvious. Shino droned. I must inquire as to why such skills were not taught in the academy, however. It's an old bargain, one unique to Konoha. Kurenai sighed. As you all know, Konoha is unique amongst the Great Five in that we rely extensively on civilian support in order to free more shinobi for field work, so as a means of persuading the civilian clans that the then newly formed Konoha could be trusted, overall control of the academy curriculum was placed in the hands of the civilians. Since so many of them wanted access to the advantages that having a shinobi in the family brings, better contacts, access to the shinobi information exchange and so on, the standards were slowly lowered to give the civilian-born a better chance of graduating. Silent communication was one of the things jettisoned to make it easier to pass the test. The four genin stared at Kurenai for a long moment. And what else was removed? Netuto finally asked. Several parts of the history course, the camping jutsus known as the traveling 10, physical conditioning lessons. Fortunately, the teamwork aspect generally allows new genin to survive in the field long enough to find out their own weaknesses and find ways around them, or find people who have different weaknesses so that they can protect each other. I have no idea if that sucks or not. Kiba admitted. I'm not good with classwork, so if the academy has been made easier, would I have made genin in the old times? And where did your clones go? To study the book. Naruto supplied. As an independent genin, I really need to learn those things. Indeed. Kurenai nodded. Now, it is time for training. While we do basic warm-ups, I want you, Naruto, to use some clones to set up a trap course for my genin to work through. Nothing lethal, but be tricky. Naruto grinned, causing Kiba to shiver. Oh. Yee. Oh. Ah. Ah. Inuzuka-tsum stared as her son lurched through the main gate of the Inuzuka compound, groaning and complaining with each step. Irk. Arg. Ow-wow-wow. Eek. Arg. Kiba? Kiba paused as Akamaru caught up with him, twitching and trying to scratch all over. Hey mom. Don't let Naruto set up a trap course for you. Gotta wash. Ah. Itch. Itch. Tsum stared blankly as her son and his Nikin bolted for the bathhouse. What? Hinata tried not to squirm as she walked through the main gate of the Hyuga compound, but the small twitches she couldn't restrain gave away that some of the itching powder in the trap that Kiba had triggered had caught her. Daughter. Father. Hinata managed. Hayashi raised an eyebrow. You seem distracted. Kiba-san set off a trap in training. Itching powder. I almost dodged it. Hayashi's eyebrow rose higher. I was unaware that Kurenai was adept at traps. It was Naruto, father. May I be excused? Hayashi nodded. Once you have washed, report to me. I would like an evaluation of Naruto's trap skills. Yes, Father Shino. Father. Shino replied calmly. Your hive seems more active than normal. I was caught in a trap triggered by my teammate Kiba, a trap that covered us in itching powder. My Kakachu found it very tasty. Ah, Naruto? One moment. Naruto called over his shoulder, as he resealed the salvaged ninja wire and the storage scroll. Rolling the scroll up and storing it in his shoulder holster, he stepped out of the woods as the clone who had been helping him dispelled. Sorry, just tidying up. I didn't go too overboard, did I? No, but several of those traps were ones I've never seen before. Kurenai admitted. Well, now I can actually read, thanks to Hinata-chan. I send some clones to the libraries every day. Naruto admitted. I came across a copy of a book on traps written by Uchiha Madara. The man was a genius. The things he could do with a kunai and a piece of wire, I adapted a few of his traps for this exercise. And you did very well. Kurenai agreed, handing Naruto a small envelope. Naruto opened it then froze. What? All genin team leaders have access to special funds for training purposes, such as hiring other genin or chunin to help. Kurenai explained. Since you set up the traps for their training and have been helping by providing an op force for them to train against, you get money to compensate you for your time. I know it's less than a D-rank mission, but every real helps, right? Naruto tucked the coupon into his pouch. Thanks, Kurenai-san. No, thank you. Kurenai replied. Ever since you let Hinata start helping you, she's become far more self-confident. Meh, Hinata-chan's totally awesome in her own right, believe it. Naruto grinned. I still have no clue how Sakura beat her to the Kunoichi of the Year position. How is she and the team getting on anyway? The team? Kurenai asked, and Naruto slapped his forehead. Sorry. I meant Sasuke. With that Kakashi dude only teaching 2 of them, he must be teaching them loads, right? He was given a 3rd genin to make a full team. Kurenai supplied, causing Naruto to stare at her in confusion. Each Jonin sensei can ask for a specific pupil, and he asked for the Uchiha? Naruto said with a nod of understanding. No, he asked for you. Kurenai corrected, earning a stare of disbelief. That doesn't make any sense. Naruto groused. Why would he ask for me? Was I supposed to be Sasuke's eternal rival in order to boost his progress or something? Sakura's punching bag to help her with her taijutsu? Actually, it's because I knew your parents and thought I could repay the debt I owed them by taking you on. I apologize for not making that clear when we met, Kakashi said from behind Naruto, causing the genin to leap into the air in shock. Arg. Don't do that. Wait. You knew my parents? Who were they? Why hasn't anyone told me about them? Were they traitors? Kakashi almost sputtered at the last question. What? Traitors? No. Why would you even think that? 'Cause no one talks about them and people tell me I never had parents. Naruto shrugged. It made sense. They're wrong. Kakashi stated. Due to security concerns, I can't tell you their names, but your parents were both great ninja who loved each other greatly. Naruto listened eagerly, not noticing that Kurenai had left silently. Chapter 8. Reputation of a new genin. You seem distracted today. Kosuke commented as he and Naruto slowly paced along the great wall surrounding Konoha. I found out that yesterday that I totally misread someone. Naruto sighed. I all but accused him of being a traitor like Mizuki, but he was actually trying, in his own way, to look out for me. Yes, he totally got it wrong, but he's tried to make up for it since. Who? Kosuke asked curiously. Jonin Hatake Kakashi. He was kind enough to tell me about my parents, Minato and Kushina. Yes, they were wonderful people. Naruto froze. You know their names? He said he couldn't tell me due to security reasons. Kosuke winced. Damn, I'm getting too old. I wouldn't have made a mistake like that if I was younger. Naruto stood, staring into space. I have my parents' names, I can find out all about them, see if they left me anything. Naruto's attention snapped back to Kosuke. Hi, your parents had enemies. Kosuke said gently but firmly. Should you try to claim your inheritance, they will find out and they will send assassins to kill you in order to end your parents' clans forever. Your father in particular had many enemies who would like nothing better than to see the corpse of his son ripped apart, and his head placed on a spike over the gate to their village. If you wish to research your parents, then make damn certain that no one, and I mean no one, can trace the research back to you. Don't go to the archives yourself, send clones using Henge. Deploy the clones and have them hide for an hour or more before they head in so that no one links your actions to their arrival. Have the clones find somewhere secret to dispel since knowledge of your usage of Kaiga Bunshin is spreading. And above all, once you confirm your parents' clan names, tell no one unless you are in a truly private room with security seals in place. Having said all that, I think that when you find out exactly who they were, you will be inspired to train harder and better than ever before. Naruto nodded. Thanks, senpai. Now, since I've messed up enough for the day, we may as well discuss infiltration and interrogation techniques, also known as how to get information from others, Kosuke said, and Naruto grinned at how the old man was able to turn an honest error into a lesson. He was almost as cool as Gigi. Well, now that the D rank is done, it's time to train, and today's training will be different for you. Asuma smiled and Shikamaru frowned. You seem to be looking forwards to this too much. This means that whatever you have planned for us will be highly troublesome. Asuma's grin broadened and he stepped to one side, revealing a meter-tall scroll leaning against the tree behind him. This is your target, he said. And the scroll is your dinner. All you have to do is bring it here and unroll it on that table. Don't worry, I won't make a single move to stop you. The trio of genin glanced at the long table set up in the shade, then back at the scroll. The test will start in 10-9-8. Shikamaru frowned in thought as both Ino and Choji crouched, ready to run to the scroll. 7-6-5-4-3-2-1 go. Even as Asuma gave the command, a black-clad ninja dropped out of the tree, grabbed the scroll and sprinted off. Damn it! Shikamaru cursed as he dashed after his two teammates. I should have locked it into place with my shadow. What the hell? Ino screeched and Shikamaru looked up just as a dozen identically clad clones leapt on him. So, what did the real you want in exchange for this exercise instead of the usual payment? Asuma asked. Boss was wondering if you could help us find out his elemental affinity. The short ninja replied even as he pulled off his hood to let his blonde spiky hair wave in the breeze. I'll get you some chakra paper tomorrow, Asuma said, and the clone nodded then twitched. Your genin have almost fought free of the first group. Shikamaru punched the last enemy, dispelling him in the now familiar cloud of smoke, and looked round. Where did he go? I don't know. Ino grumbled, trying to put her hair back into its normal ponytail. We have to find him. Choji panicked. That scroll contains all of our food. Shikamaru bent down and picked up a piece of paper by his feet. Clue 1. The 4 watch over, yet only one watches. Go where the hat would rest on stone. Beware the route up to the top, 'tis not safe to go alone. He read. What? Ino asked in disbelief. What the hell does that mean? The next clue is on the Hokage mountain, Shikamaru said. We'll probably have to fight another group of clones in order to find the next clue. What? Ino started, then she shook her head. Never mind, let's go. How long did it take Shikamaru to work out the problem? Asuma asked as he lit another cigarette. About 5 seconds. The clone laughed. Of course, he got the threat wrong. Ino staggered into the clearing, her clothing ripped, her skin blotched with bruises and various dyes. Choji and Shikamaru followed, both showing evidence of having been caught in traps, but nowhere near as much as Ino, who the hell traps every single foot of the damn path. Ino howled. You two were useless. We kept telling you not to charge ahead. Shikamaru mumbled. What was that? Calm down, Ino, Choji said placatingly. I'm perfectly calm. Choji sidled backwards and Shikamaru sighed. Alright, everyone look round. The next clue should be on the Sandame's head. Oh, this should be fun of the 4 ways. You used the 4th when the 3rd would have carried you past. Shika read, ignoring Ino's snarls. The obvious way is not always correct. Clue 2. When leaving the village, this path you will take, but don't leave the leaf, for that would be a mistake. Choji tilted his head slightly and Shikamaru sighed. Main gate. Ino stormed back down the path, then screamed as a noose wrapped round her ankle and hoisted her up into the air. I think we should find another way down. Shikamaru mused as Ino turned the air blue. It looks like the traps have been reset. The 4th way? Choji asked. It seems familiar. There are 4 ways to deal with any obstacle, Shikamaru recited. Over, under, around or through. Stop yammering and get me down. Asuma smirked as the tottering forms of his genin approached. All of them showed significant signs of having been forced to do more work than they were used to, and Shikamaru's jacket was still smoldering while Choji's bandana was ripped, letting his hair stick out in all directions with a small electrical spark occasionally jumping between them. The damn password is Uzumaki. Shikamaru growled and the scroll dropped out of the branches, landing on the table. Naruto, I'd like you to know that I really, really hate you right now. I hope you know that. You ruined my wardrobe. Ino tried to shriek, but her exhaustion prevented her from getting any real volume. Asuma glanced at her, and his eyes widened at the sight of the rags tied together to form an impromptu pair of shorts and chest wrap. Holy crap! Naruto gasped from beside him. You mean the trap with the 3 lemons and the paperclip actually worked? Madara really was a genius. Ino tried to charge forwards to rend Naruto into pieces, but collapsed on the grass before she could even cover a third of the distance. Looks like I've been slacking off. Asuma sighed. Naruto, I'll hire you again next week for another round, but remember to pop by tomorrow for the paper. Shikamaru gave his sensei a pained look, then slumped onto the ground. Before then, though, I think a finishing spar would be a good idea. All 3 genin of Team 10 glared at their sensei. Well, don't you look like the cat that ate the cream? Hate called as Asuma walked into the Jonin bar. One of the new genin's gonna need a nickname. Asuma called back, catching everyone's attention. I just finished watching him give my team the runaround all-round Konoha, then beating them all in a single spar. He's a real challenge as an antagonist. Uzumaki Naruto? Kurenai asked from where she was sitting with Anko, and Asuma nodded. I've hired him several times to provide opposition for my team. Since I trade training with him, and Hinata helps him with his reading skills, I don't really need to pay all that much for his help. How can one new genin take on a full team? A voice called. Asuma and Kurenai looked at each other, and chorused the answer. Kagabunshin. He can generate several hundred of them, and keeps coming up with new tricks using them. Kurenai added. Yesterday, he had some henge into caltrops, then they transformed back and dogpiled my team when they were halfway across the field. He pulled a double kawarimi in the finishing spar I asked him to do. Asuma noted. He kawarimi'd away from Shikamaru's shadow technique, leaving a log in his place. Then when Shikamaru turned away, he swapped back and took him down. Damn. One of the jonin whistled in awe. How the hell did none of us consider doing that before? I know what I'll be practicing tonight. Op Force. Anko said, and everyone looked at her in confusion. What? You two are hiring him to be just that. Op Force Uzumaki. Has a nice ring to it. Yosh! Guy shouted from the corner, causing several of the jonin to jump as they hadn't actually realized that he was there. Truly he is ablaze with the flames of youth. Tomorrow I shall hire him for my squad. You do know he does morning wall patrols, right? Asuma asked. Op Force and the Eternal Genin. Anko sniggered. Kids probably already learned more from Kosuke than he learned in his years at the academy. Now that he can actually read, yes? Kurenai agreed, and almost half the jonin stared at her. Hold on. Asuma said slowly. What exactly do you mean, now that he can read? Kurenai looked round at the silent crowd. If he managed to pass when he couldn't read, Asuma continued, just how far have the academy standards dropped since we were genin? Naruto flopped onto his bed with a satisfied sigh and closed his eyes. His daily clone lessons with Hinata had gone very well, to the point that between his own determination and Hinata's memories of helping him learn, he was finally up to the educational level he should have been at. A sudden rush of memories flooded into his mind, and he concentrated on sorting out the data accumulated by his research clones. A few seconds later, his bed was empty and his front door was swinging shut and done. Hiruzen sighed as he passed the last stack of paper to his assistant. Well, I think that I've done enough for today. The assistant edged out of the room, being careful not to drop any of the sheets of paper, and Hiruzen slid open one of the drawers in his desk, pulling out an orange-covered book. Let's see escape the castle in the cave. Where is Aha? In the cave, and Rai is helping Zuna to warm up. Hehehe. GG. The echoing shout gave Hiruzen just enough time to slam the book closed, drop it back in the drawer, slam the drawer shut, and reposition himself to face the door a bare quarter second before Naruto raced in. I wasn't aware that I had invited you to a sleepover. Hiruzen joked, and Naruto glanced down at his pajamas. No time for joking. He panted. GG, this is real important, like very important. As Naruto repeated the word important, he flashed 4 fingers at Hiruzen and shot a significant glance at the row of pictures on the wall, the row showing all 4 Hokages. Hiruzen paled and quickly channeled chakra into an otherwise insignificant portion of his desk. We're secure, he said, praying that his concern was misplaced. What is it? I've been having clones doing research for me and I've finished putting things together, Naruto said, leaning on the desk. When were you going to tell me that my old man was the yandame? Hiruzen stared at the young genin. Chapter 9. Revelations of a New Genin. When were you going to tell me that my old man was the yandame? Hiruzen stared in shock at the young genin, then he gathered his wits. Tell me what you've worked out and what you think might be, but are unsure about, he commanded. First, my parents were Uzumaki Kushina and Yandame Hokage Namikaze Minato, Naruto stated. I've seen a picture of him at the academy. Draw whiskers on him, and he looks almost exactly like me. Since he had enemies that are still around, they would almost certainly try to kill me to get to him, even though he's dead. Second, they both died on the night that I was born and the Kyuubi attacked. Somehow, I doubt that it was a coincidence, but I don't know for sure. Third, something happened to the Kyuubi at the Valley of the End when Hiroshima and Mito faced off against it. Something that kept it hidden until I was born. I can't help but think that my birth had something to do with it, but I can't make the connection. Kazan wasn't even alive back then. Fourth, the Kyuubi was sealed into me. How did Dad know it was possible to do that? Has it been done before? Hiruzen held up a hand to stem Naruto's rapid-fire statements and questions. You have most of the pieces, Hiruzen admitted. Your mother was the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi before you, but she was the second one. Uzumaki Mito, the woman who became Hiroshima's wife, was the first. She transferred the burden to your mother when she was dying. The seal used on a female Jinchuriki to contain the biju weakens when she gives birth, which is one of the reasons why your mother moved to a hideout outside the village walls when you were due to be born. We don't know what happened, but your parents died to reseal the kyubi, leaving only you and no witnesses. My wife was helping your mother, but she was killed by whoever or whatever caused your mother's seal to break. I had intended to tell you all of this when you either turned 16 or you reached the rank of chunin, since either would hopefully mean you could learn it without instantly running off to shout out the news all over the village, alerting your father's enemies and getting killed as a result. Since you found most of it out though, Hiruzen trailed off and Naruto nodded thoughtfully. Did they leave anything for me? Not as much as you might think, Hiruzen admitted. Kushina was the last of the Uzumaki from Yuzushiobikure, and when it fell, all her family's wealth was lost, either destroyed in the attack or seized by the other villages. As for your father, well, the position of Hokage doesn't actually pay all that well, and his custom kunai were relatively expensive, especially with how many he used, so your father never amassed a large fortune. There are several technique scrolls from your parents, your mother's Fuinjutsu scrolls, and a more eclectic collection that your father owned, but most of those were damaged in the Kyuubi's attack. Fortunately, there are those who know your father's two most famous moves, the Rasengan and the Hiraishin. Can I meet them? Naruto asked, and Hiruzen frowned. Those who know the Rasengan or those who know the Hiraishin? For now, the Hiraishin. Naruto decided after several seconds of deep thought. While learning Dad's attack jutsu would be cool, I think I should pay more attention to the technique that lets me escape to fight another day. 2 of them are currently on a mission, and it takes all 3 of them to perform the technique. Hiruzen said. I'm afraid you'll need to wait a couple of weeks to see it in action. Naruto nodded, then glanced at the clock and cursed. Kyuso. I really need to get some sleep, or I'll be late for my practice with Hinata-chan tomorrow, and I have a D-rank helping Team 9 after that. Practice? Is that what they're calling it now? Hiruzen chortled as he lowered the security seals. Damn it, Yarojiji. Naruto. You have joined us. Naruto grinned nervously at Guy's bombastic greeting, then looked at the trio of genin staring at him. Tenten? Hi, Naruto. Tenten replied with a smile. So you know this paragon of youthfulness. Tenten rolled her eyes. Yeah. He came to Dad's to replace his old bright orange rags with something more suited to being a shinobi. He was with your cousin and her teacher, Niji. Niji glared at Naruto for a long moment before turning away. And the mini guy is Rock Lee, Tenten said with a wave of her hand. I am pleased to meet you. Naruto blinked, wondering if he should try a genjutsu dispel. So. Guy boomed. Now you are here, we can begin. We will finish our warm-ups while you set a series of traps on the route we agreed on. Then I shall send my genin in to test their youthful prowess. While they are doing so, I shall help you find a taijutsu style of your own. Naruto nodded and summoned 24 clones. Alright guys. You know what to do, YOSH. It's done. Naruto said as he re-entered the clearing. That was fast, barely 20 minutes. Guy said with a slight frown. Kagabunshin. Of course. The Jonin exclaimed, his face brightening. So, my students, your task is simple. Make your way from one safe point to the next until your route brings you back here. The safe points are marked by yellow ropes on the ground in the shape of a square. Naruto added. There's also an arrow in each one pointing to the next safe point. Sounds simple enough. Tenten said. Is that the first one there? Naruto nodded and Lee seemed to blur into the rope-marked area. I see the arrow. It goes down the path. As the other 2 ran to catch up, Lee vanished down the path, only for a twang to sound, followed by a yelp of surprise. Snare trap. Naruto shrugged at Guy's inquisitive look. I see. Guy mused, then he grinned. It will be educational for them. Now, let us see about building a proper foundation for your youthful fighting skills. Show me your stances. Naruto started to move through the katas he had painstakingly learned under Kyo's supervision, and Guy frowned. I see that you were taught badly at first, but someone, probably a Hyuga, has tried to help you correct it. Guy said. However, given your body shape, I believe I have a better style for you to learn, son of a bitch. Niji cursed as the trap he had carefully triggered from a safe distance with the thrown kunai triggered no less than 3 other traps in turn, forcing him and his team to dodge out of the way of 3 logs. A spray of shuriken and 6 eggs. Niji blinked and grabbed one of the ovoids out of the air. Yep, an egg. Naruto-kun is most tricky with these traps. Lee exulted and he sprang back to his feet. Yeah, tell me about it. Tenten growled as she tried to brush the shattered egg out of her hair. It's like he knows all the standard ways to disarm traps and has set more traps against those methods. Then we shall have to use non-standard methods. Lee grinned as he stepped forwards, only for the path to cave in under his feet. Lee! Tenten shouted as she and Niji managed to grab the falling boy's arms and drag him back. For a long moment, the trio remained motionless, then Niji glanced over the edge of the pit and frowned. Who fills a trap pit with fish? What? Guy walked through the crowd of Narutos, correcting an occasional punch, altering the path of a palm strike, or adjusting a stance. To one side, the real Naruto concentrated on the crunches, jumps and push-ups that he had been assigned. No. he said, stopping in front of one of the clones. You need to flow with this move, not clump. Like this. The clone watched as Guy slowly moved through the 4-stage kata portion. Now try, I'm going to kill him, Niji panted, his normal reserve in abeyance as he knelt in the penultimate safe zone, his normally pristine appearance marred by innumerable stains, rips, tears and other less identifiable substances. He's tricky. Tenten gasped as she retied the sting, holding her shredded top together. How is he so youthful in the art of traps? Lee asked, bouncing up and down as he prepared himself for the final stretch, ignoring the fact that he was missing an entire leg and sleeve from his spandex unitard while the torso resembled a net more than anything else, thus revealing that he wasn't wearing a vest underneath. I think I've seen him reading a book. Tenten mused as she rose to her feet. Something about traps, by who was it? Aha! Uchiha Madara. He was renowned for his trapping skills, Niji stated. There is a copy of his manual of traps in the Hyuga library, the only book in there that was written by an Uchiha. And the traps it shows? Tenten prompted. I have not read it, Niji admitted. But I will as soon as I get home. I will not let another day like this happen again. Then let's go, Lee shouted as he leapt forwards. Twang! Niji and Tenten shook their heads in disbelief as Lee bounced up and down, suspended by his ankle. Has he hit every snare trap we've come across? Tenten asked. Perhaps it is his fate. Tenten gave Niji a shocked look. Excellent, Guy declared as Naruto used the memories attained by his clones to flow smoothly through the first complete kata. You have done well, and it seems as though my youthful team has finished their training for today in the art of traps. Naruto turned and his eyes widened at the sight of the trio of bruised, battered and disheveled shinobi glaring at him. I think I'd better leave, Naruto said nervously as he saw Tenten's fingers twitching as if she was about to go for her kunai. Thanks for the lesson, Guy-sensei. Bye. Guy blinked as Naruto sprinted off, then turned to his team. So, my youthful apprentices, he grinned, what lessons have you learned from this? Naruto needs to die, Niji ground out as Tenten nodded in agreement. Painfully. And slowly. That is not the lesson I was hoping for you to learn, Kosuke. Hiruzen. The genin replied as he sat down in front of the Hokage's desk. How goes Naruto's education? Kosuke blinked a couple of times, as if reordering his thoughts, before answering. The boy's an information sponge. I still have to dumb it down a bit, but nowhere near what his file says is needed. He also uses his clones to do research. All I have to do is mention a subject, and he sends several clones to read up on it. Hiruzen nodded thoughtfully. I've been mainly covering the stuff the academy doesn't teach, Kosuke continued. International politics and why they're important, nonverbal communication, the acquisition of information through various means, battlefield psychology, and I'm going to have to seriously hurt the academy counselor for telling Naruto that he'd probably enjoy killing because he's a monster. I'll help, Hiruzen growled. Anyway, right now, Naruto could probably pass for Chunin in the non-physical aspects. I'm not certain about his physical skills though. Mado Guy has begun teaching him a new style. Hyuga Ko occasionally drills him in the academy style, the proper forms, and he spars with several of the teams, Hiruzen supplied, causing Kosuke's eyebrows to shoot up. Really? My Kohai is growing stronger then. That's good. Hiruzen hid a smile at Kosuke's declaration. You know, there is a pile of mission requests for you building up, Kosuke shrugged. Give me the rest of the week on the wall, and I'll start looking at them again. He's impressed you that much, has he? Hiruzen chuckled, then the amusement vanished. Any idea how he found out about who his parents were? Kosuke blinked as he carefully considered his answer. Well, he began, part of it is that I have, as I mentioned, been teaching him how to acquire information. Chapter 10. Discoveries of a new genin. It's been an honor, senpai, Naruto said with a bow, which Kosuke returned. You have been an excellent student, Kosuke replied. Were I not going on a mission to the north, I would be happy to continue your education. You have already taught me more than I learned in the academy. Naruto shrugged. I know I still have a long way to go, but I'm finally on the right path thanks to you, sensei. Kosuke smiled broadly, his eyes glittering with unshed tears of pride. I believe that you will reach your goal, and I will be there to bow to you. Naruto tried to speak, but he couldn't force the words out past the sudden blockage in his throat. I will see you again sometime, Kohai. Kosuke smiled, then he vanished in a swirl of leaves. Naruto stared at where he had been, then looked down. Huh? What's this? Picking up the scroll, Naruto unrolled it slightly, then he grinned. Instructions for Shunshin? Thanks, Kosuke-sensei. Hinata threw herself into an airborne roll just shy of being a full somersault in order to avoid being tackled by a trio of Narutos. Her mind tried to pull up images of what she could do with 3 Narutos, but she suppressed the distracting thoughts with the ease of long practice even as she spun on one shoulder, delivering Juken strikes with her feet in order to clear some space. Bouncing back up, Hinata lashed out behind her, hearing the normal pop of a dissipating shadow clone. Getsuga, Kiba and Akamaru barreled through the attacking clones and Hinata pirouetted on the spot, allowing the duo to pass one either side of her so closely that her jacket rippled from the displaced air. Then she took advantage of the newly cleared path to sprint to where Shino was being overrun, taking out half of the clones mobbing him before they knew she was there. And done! At Kurenai's shout, the remaining clones vanished in clouds of chakra smoke, except for one which simply strolled to Kurenai's side. Stand down, students. Kurenai smiled and Hinata flopped into a sitting position, then she mentally winced as she saw Ko watching from the sidelines. No doubt her lack of grace would be reported to the Hyuga Council. 12 minutes to destroy 100 attacking clones. Kurenai said approvingly as Kiba threw himself to the ground, panting for breath. Now, what went wrong? My taijutsu skills, although I am technically proficient in their katas, seem insufficient to situations such as this. Shino admitted. The problem is that your taijutsu skills are too perfect. Kurenai said, earning a confused tilt of the head. You do each move perfectly, in its entirety, before moving on to the next move. You need to learn to flow from one move to the next so that the end of one move should overlap with the start of the next. I see. Shino mused. I shall endeavor to correct that problem. Kiba, that last big attack of yours and Akamaru's almost hit Hinata. Kurenai continued. However, you managed to bracket her perfectly. Was it intentional? Shit, I almost hit Hinata? Kiba gasped. Sorry, I thought you were somewhere else. Situational awareness in combat. Kurenai said slowly. I see that we'll have to work on that. We had a few spare clones ready to switch if it looked like anyone was about to get seriously injured. The clone interjected. One of us was about to swap with Hinata until she did that awesome dance-like move between Kiba and Akamaru. Hinata blushed in pleasure at Naruto's comment. A sudden burst of chakra shocked the genin to their feet as Naruto appeared in the middle of the clearing 7 feet above the ground. Yeehaha! Naruto managed to turn his uncontrolled fall into a tumbling roll which would have ended with him back on his feet if Hinata hadn't been in the way. Oof! Hinata opened her eyes to find Naruto staring at her in worry from inches away. Hinata-chan, are you alright? I'm sorry, ahem. Naruto almost levitated off Hinata as Ko coughed dramatically from just behind them. Hinata spared an instant to give a quick glare to a sniggering Kiba and smirking Kurenai before she held out her hand for Naruto. Taking his cue, he pulled her to her feet. Sorry, I was practicing the shunshin and, well, I've almost got it. Not quite, boss. The clone called. See for yourself. The clone dispelled and Naruto managed to both pale and blush at the same time as he received the memory of his failure. Sorry, Hinata-chan, he said with a slight wince. I hope I didn't hurt you. I'm fine, Naruto-kun. Hinata smiled back at him. What book are we working through today? Ko lifted an eyebrow as Naruto brandished a medical text. Basic primer for battlefield medicine. With my reserves, there's no way I'm ever going to be able to become a medic nin, but battlefield medicine, herbs, bandaging, setting bones and stuff, that I can learn and it'll really help on missions outside Konoha. Several of the Hyuga clan have chosen the path of the Irionin. Ko commented. Our eyes give us a considerable advantage. I'm ready. Hinata said, and before Ko could protest, she hugged Naruto. Then a cloud of chakra smoke announced the formation of 2 clones, one of whom was Hinata. That felt weird. Naruto mused as he looked at Hinata. I've been using Juken for the last hour. Hinata explained. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to push like that. Shouldn't make any difference. Naruto mused. Hey, you two still us? I mean, are you me and are you Hinata? I'm your clone, boss. The male clone announced while the female clone blushed slightly and poked her forefingers together. Yep, that's Haim-sama. See, no problems, Naruto shrugged. Now I can give you some more clones, but then I've got another mission, with Team 7 this time. You know, this'll be the first time I've seen the TA Haimin Sasuke and Sakura since the test. I wonder who the replacement for me is? Tobio? Naruto? The dark-haired genin waved. Hey, listen. I never got to say sorry for accidentally causing you and Sasuke to. That never happened. Both male genin roared, causing Tobi to cringe, then they glanced at each other in surprise while Sakura started to giggle. I thought you were in a different team. Naruto asked, hoping to redirect the conversation, and Tobio shrugged. I was assigned to Team 3 with Reitamaru and Kinoku. We were given a test and the other 2 decided to squabble over who would do it better. I managed to do some of the tests, but I couldn't do it all since the other 2 didn't help. Apparently that's why I was given a second chance on Team 7, because I was willing to try to work as part of a team. Wow, nice one. Naruto grinned, exchanging a high five with his former classmate. Why are you here, Naruto? Sakura asked. And why are you still wearing a Hitite? Didn't you go back to the academy? He's an independent genin. Sasuke supplied before Naruto could answer, and Sakura stared at him in confused shock. What? After that fiasco of a test, I checked the Uchiha archives and discovered the difference between an academy-promoted genin and a mission-promoted genin. So, am I correct in assuming that you're the opposition for this afternoon's training? Yep, you're going up against Op 4 Uzumaki. Kakashi said from behind them, causing all 4 genin to jump in shock. Now, if you'll excuse us, I need to discuss the situations we'll be setting you up against. The trio stared in shock as Kakashi, who was early, vanished with the blonde genin. What just happened? Sakura finally asked. Lord Hokage told me you found out about your parents. Kakashi said as they reappeared amongst the trees. The 4th your sensei. Naruto replied quietly. And his wife, who was the second to bear the burden I now have. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. Kakashi sighed. I wasn't in a good place mentally after Sensei died. It took me several years to get myself back together. By that time, the other villagers were keeping an eye on me since they thought that if Sensei had an heir, I would be the one to act as guardian. So you stayed away to keep me safe. Naruto finished. And trying to get me on your team? To try to protect you and repay the debt I owed your parents. Kakashi confirmed. I knew I'd be assigned Sasuke, so I thought that the other villages would assume you were merely there to bulk out the team, not because of your heritage. Naruto nodded. I understand, Hataki-san. I do have 2 quick questions before we start planning what to do to your team. Do you know the Rasengan? And what about the Hiraishin? Kakashi held up his right hand, in which a sparkling sphere of chakra was spinning. This is the Rasengan, taught to me by your father. As for the Hiraishin, I was going to learn it, but the Kyuubi. Kakashi trailed off, and Naruto nodded. That bastard fox screwed up so many things when it attacked. Yeah. For a long moment, the duo remained in silent contemplation of what could have been. We are going to do 3 scenarios, one after the other. Kakashi told his team as he unrolled a topographical map of Konoha and the surrounding environs. Scenario 1 is attacking a bandit camp with 30 bandits, some of whom may have had training equal to a new genin. You will be rescuing a hostage me. Scenario 2 is protecting me as you get me to a secure location. I will not be moving faster than a civilian, nor will I defend myself beyond basic dodging, so you'll have to protect me for the journey from the camp here to the way station here. Expect up to 20 bandits for this. Scenario 3 is repelling an assault by a third group of bandits until reinforcements can arrive. For that one, I will be acting in my capacity as your Jonin sensei with a dummy taking the role of rescued civilian. The dummy has several bags of red-dyed water inside it representing its brains, heart, lungs and gut. If any of those bags get stabbed, the scenario ends as a fail. Now, this is a map of the camp and I'll be in the open, in a wooden cage just here. There'll be guards here and here with orders to terminate me if there's a rescue attempt, so you'll need to move fast. Other than that, how you do it is up to you. See you when you rescue me? Kakashi vanished and Sakura moved to the place where he had been, looking closely at the lines of the map. There's a ridge behind the camp here, she pointed out. If we take it and use kunai to nail the guards, we can then descend using a rope. We'll have to be careful. Sasuke interjected. I've heard nasty things about Naruto's trapping skills. He's probably got all of the primary approaches trapped, so we'll have to do what he doesn't expect, like circle round rather than head straight there. Tobio and Sakura both nodded in agreement. Naruto smirked as the trio set out for the first stage, then his eyes narrowed in appreciation as they took a side path, one of the few that he hadn't trapped. Now, how did you know to do that? He whispered as he started to rise, then he paused as 2 streams of memories flowed into his mind. I'm going to have to devote a lot of attention to learning those terms. I didn't even know what a gallbladder was. Heck, I didn't even know it existed. Naruto closed his eyes as he concentrated on settling the memories correctly into his mind, then he reopened them. Time to move out. Hinata's eyes stared sightlessly as not 1, but 2 memory streams flowed into her mind. Hinata-sama? Ko asked quietly as Hinata paled, then blushed furiously. He thinks I'm really pretty. Hinata whispered, wavering slightly as her mind repeatedly replayed the memory from Naruto's clone of him stealing glances at her. He admires me. Ko managed to catch the Hyuga heiress as she collapsed. A huge smile spread across her face. Chapter 11. Experiences of a New Genin. Kakashi sat cross-legged in the wooden cage in the middle of the mocked-up bandit camp, reading his newest Ika book. Even though he seemed totally disinterested in anything happening outside his prison, he noted that Naruto's clones had set the camp up in a manner similar to a camp that he had taken out during his days in Anbu, a mission in which they had been led by none other than then Chunin Yuhi Kurenai as part of her evaluation for the rank of Jonin. Kakashi glanced round covertly, noting the places where he would have approached from, the places that looked like good approach lanes but were well guarded, and the places which would be suicidal to attack from. No sign of any activity. One of the bandit clones reported to the new Nin clone leader. The leader turned to respond, then a kunai slammed straight through his head, dispelling him. Attack! The bandit screamed. They're on the ridge. Guh! Another kunai slammed into his chest and the bandit vanished in a cloud of smoke. Putting his book away, Kakashi looked round, noting that the accurate throws were only happening near his position while the rest of the camp was being bombarded by Kage kunai. Bunchins. Now, when had Sasuke learned that? Or was it Tobio? It certainly wasn't Sakura. She didn't have the required chakra reserve. Sakura threw another pair of kunai and her hands flickered through the technique, multiplying the blades as they arced downwards. I'm down to 2/3. Tobio said as he pulled his hands off Sakura's shoulders, and the kunoichi nodded. Okay, matching your chakra was rather more tiring than the scroll said. Sasuke? All guards near the cage neutralized. Sasuke reported. Sakura nodded and kicked at the stones tied to the ends of the coiled ropes. The stones dropped over the edge of the low cliff and Tobio crouched down as they went taut. Cover me as I go down. On it. Sasuke confirmed, a brace of kunai in each hand, and Tobio swung himself over the edge. Think we got them all? Sakura asked quietly. There isn't any movement, but we can't relax yet. Sasuke muttered, then he leaned forward slightly. Tobio's reached the bottom. Let's go. Sakura swallowed as she made sure her grip was solid, then she let herself slide down the rope, landing between her two teammates. All clear so far. Tobio reported, his normal jocularity in abeyance. Then let's move. Sasuke commanded. Kakashi smiled as Sakura ignored the heavy padlock and thick chain holding the gate to the cage closed, instead slicing through the rope hinges. Sir, let's go, she said, and Kakashi nodded as he stepped past the dismounted gate. You've done well so far. Stage 1 success, now we have Stage 2. Sakura sighed. We're avoiding the direct route, Sasuke said. It'll take longer, but there'll be less cover for ambushers and hopefully less traps. Well then, lead the way. Kakashi smiled. It's so wonderful to be escorted by such great ninja. His students stared at him blankly for a moment. Tough crowd. Naruto generated a dozen clones and sent them to disassemble the traps on the routes that Team 7 hadn't taken, since there was no point leaving them to trip up unwary passersby. They had surprised him once again. He had expected them to take either one of the more direct routes, or the route that circled around the edge of the designated exercise area, but instead that had gone for one of the longer routes that he had only lightly trapped, and that as a mere precaution. He was going to have to consider carefully how to do the assault once Kakashi resumed his role as Jonin Sensei. Yipe. Tobio dived to the ground as a spray of blunted kunai were fired across the path. Even as the thunk of the launcher sounded, Sasuke was already leaping forwards to deflect the projectiles and take out the launcher. Sakura helped Tobio to his feet as the sound of splintering would announce Sasuke's discovery of the launcher. Then he re-emerged from the bushes and Sakura gasped. Those traps are sneaky, Sasuke grumbled. What I want to know is how he got those kunai to fly so slowly. It almost threw me off, but I won't let him beat me. Tobio wordlessly pulled out a kunai and held it up in front of Sasuke's face. What am I meant to be looking? Wow, Sasuke! Sakura gushed. You've activated your Sharingan. Sasuke stared in shock at the reflection of his now red eyes, then he started to grin. Well, I wasn't expecting that. Kakashi admitted he's activated his Sharingan. Naruto gawped as the memory popped up in his mind. Damn, I'm going to have to change my plans for the third stage, or he'll be copying my jutsu left, right and center. Then again, he doesn't know I know about his eyes, so I may be able to use that to my advantage. Let's move, Sasuke commanded with a smirk. He won't know I've activated my blood limit, so he won't be expecting it. That should help give us an advantage. There it is, Sakura whispered as she pointed. Both her teammates followed her gaze to the collection of boulders perched on top of the hill. Excellent, Sasuke mused. Cover, concealment, open approaches. As long as Naruto doesn't use too many clones, we should be able to hold that position. I'll check it out, Tobio said as he sprinted ahead, vaulting over one of the lower boulders. A moment later, he reappeared and waved for them to approach. Well, Stage 2 is complete, Kakashi said as he entered the stone circle and smiled at the sight of the dummy that was taking his role. Naruto had decorated it with a white, spiky wig, an eye patch and an orange book. As the genin familiarized themselves with the impromptu fortification, Kakashi glanced at the book, finding it to be a blank notepad. All right, Kakashi called. We should have between 5 and 15 minutes to set up, but don't count on it. You three take the left, right and rear respectively while I hold the front, since if we were being tracked, that's where the majority will come from. We just need to hold until relieved. The trio of genin nodded as they moved to their respective walls at Oak. Kakashi's eye widened as the horde of clones burst out from the tree line. It wasn't the numbers that surprised him, there were actually less than he expected. It was the fact that the clones were holding jury-rigged shields made from woven branches, shields thick enough that a normal kunai throw would have difficulty penetrating them. Damn! Sasuke shouted. They've got shields. Katon, Gokake no Jutsu, Kakashi nodded as he flashed through a series of hand seals himself. Katon, Hozenka no Jutsu, a barrage of small fireballs impacted on the wooden shields, igniting several of them and scorching most of the rest. The clones behind the burning shields didn't drop them, but instead sprinted forwards, and Kakashi's eye narrowed as he realized that they were trying to create a smokescreen so that he couldn't see their approach. Very clever, Naruto, he whispered as his hands flashed through a new set of seals. Just what I expected from my sensei's son Sueten no Jutsu. Kakashi pulled down his mask and spat out a long blast of water before pulling his mask up again fast enough that no one had a chance to see his face. Okay, I didn't see that coming, Naruto mused. I think it's time for a diversion. Sasuke blinked in surprise as the clones who had been trying to attack suddenly pulled back, leaving only one standing in the middle of the open area. Now you've done it! The clone shouted. Prepared to face the wrath of the Uzumaki Hijitsu, the Kage killer. Proven when it took down the Hokage, Sasuke grinned mentally as he activated his Sharingan. He would copy the technique and use it against Naruto. The look on his face would be priceless. Both of them blazed through a sequence of hand seals and in unison shouted out Orioke no Jutsu. Sakura spun round in shock. Tobio blinked. What did Sasuke just say? Sasuke felt a wave of chakra pass through him, and his center of gravity shifted. His back felt chilled, and on the field a naked blonde girl waved at him before blowing him a kiss, and vanishing. What the hell? He asked, then paused. His voice was pitched higher than normal. Suspiciously, he looked down at himself, and then suddenly he remembered just where he had heard the name of that technique from. What the fuck? Damn it, Naruto, how do I end this damn technique? The high-pitched squeal of feminine fury combined with his clone's memories caused Naruto to fall over, clutching his sides as he howled with laughter. The clones also stopped attacking as they bent over laughing and Kakashi sighed. Exercise terminated. He shouted. Someone tell Sasuke how to change back from Sasuke. The Uchiha in question glared at him, even as she tried to cover her breasts and groin. Just post-chakra concentrate on form, one of the clones gasped, and Sasuke closed her eyes in concentration before reverting back to his male form in a cloud of chakra smoke. That Sasuke growled, then he glared at Tobio, who was wiping some blood off his upper lip. You know, you made a cute girl. Sakura giggled and Sasuke stomped off. I'm never going to hear the end of this, am I? Damn it, Dobe, how the hell could you claim that this Oryoke no Jutsu could take out the Hokage? Because boss used it to KO the old man when he was taking the scroll. One of the clones managed. Gigi hit the wall so hard, it left a dent. Look just opposite the office door, but to the right. Sasuke sighed as the humor of the situation finally started to filter through his embarrassed anger. Damn it, it's just the sort of thing I can see the Dobe doing. And now I'm going to end up in a situation where I have to use that damn technique, aren't I? In the land of hot springs, a large, white-haired man lowered his telescope and frowned into the distance. My senses tell me that something rather perverted and yet exceedingly humorous just happened. He muttered to himself. For a long moment, he didn't move, then he shrugged. Ah well, back to research. Oh yes. Kakashi was still sniggering as he led his team back to the tower half an hour later. As they opened the door, Sasuke sighed at the twinkle of amusement in the Hokage's eyes. You know. He accused and the Hokage nodded. How? Hiruzen pointed at the crystal sphere on his desk. Damn it. Language Sasuke-chan. Kakashi giggled. Morning, Hinata-chan. Naruto called as he ran up to where Team 8 was assembling. I really pulled a fun trick on the team yesterday, and Hinata? What's wrong? What did I do? Naruto shot a pleading glance at Kurenai, who responded with a confused shrug. Naruto, Hinata whispered. Remember how yesterday I accidentally added some chakra to our clones? Yeah, why? It gave me the memories of your clone. Hinata continued, so quietly that Naruto almost didn't hear her. I know how you feel about me, thank you. Naruto caught Hinata in a hug. You don't hate me for that? He whispered and Hinata shook her head as she returned his hug. Thank you? You're not mad I got your clone's memories? Hinata asked in shock and Kurenai inhaled sharply. Nah, you've been giving me your memories, so it's only fair you get mine. Naruto replied, still hugging Hinata tightly. I'd be a real jerk if I thought you getting my memories was a bad thing. I only hope you don't get my habit of being a clueless idiot at times. You are not a clueless idiot. Hinata protested, breaking free of Naruto's hug and grabbing his shoulders so that she could glare at him. I mean it, if you call yourself an idiot again I'll give him a good kissing? Kiba supplied as Hinata struggled to find a threat she could use. Give you a good kissing? Hinata finished, then suddenly she turned bright red. Eep. Kiba fell over laughing as Hinata fainted with a blush so bright that Kurenai was rather surprised that it hadn't tinted the surrounding area. That was not a nice thing you did, Kiba. Shino droned. However, it was amusing. Uzumaki? Everyone turned to see three shinobi standing by the edge of the field. Uzumaki Naruto? The leader asked again, and Naruto nodded. My name is Tadami Awashi. Lord Hokage sent us. Chapter 12, Progress of a New Genin. Hayashi tilted his head slightly as he listened to Kurenai's report. Inuzuka-tsum and Aburaim Shiki flanked him, both as intent on listening as he was. So, if I understand what you have said, he interjected as Kurenai finished her report, by training with Uzumaki Naruto, my daughter's capabilities have increased considerably. Kurenai nodded. Hinata had a problem with holding back too much in her spars until Naruto came up with a way to motivate her. And that way was? Hayashi prompted. I only ask because, in the last month, my daughter has started to win the sparring matches that she has against her sister. Her adaptation of our fighting art to include strikes launched through kicks has been a very unpleasant surprise for those of us who have gone up against her as well. She's working on launching strikes from her knees and elbows as well. Kurenai shrugged. Naruto's idea. His fighting style is very unpredictable, even more so now that it's been rebuilt and honed by Mato Guy. And the motivation he used? Hayashi inquired. Kisses. Kurenai mumbled. Hayashi raised an eyebrow as Tsum snorted with laughter. On the cheek, I hope. Kurenai nodded and Hayashi relaxed slightly. Then I have no problem with this. Shikaka frowned as Sarutobi-sama finished the monthly feedback. So, you have them spar weekly against Uzumaki-san. He stated. I had wondered why Shikamaru had decided that not doing physical training was far more troublesome than actually doing it. My little princess came home the first time in a jacket she borrowed from Choji. Inoichi reminisced. Her actual clothing that day was little more than rags tied together, something that she blamed Naruto for. Since then, she's been reading that trap book by Uchiha Madara almost religiously in her spare time when she isn't training, that is. Choji started doing more exercise as well. Chirza agreed. He's building up quite a respectable amount of muscle, he can pick me up now. I think we owe Op-Force our thanks for getting our kids interested in actually training. The other two fathers chuckled in agreement. Kakashi took a sip of tea, somehow drinking it through his mask. So yes, he said. Your daughter has improved greatly from her academy days. That's good to hear. Haruno Mabuki smiled. She's been eating more healthily, too, probably the training. Kakashi mused. After she collapsed for the 4th time, I had a long discussion with her about how limiting her food intake would lead to me releasing her from the team. Rather harsh. Kizashi frowned. But it worked, that's the main thing. Naruto Kohai. Kosuke-senpai. Naruto grinned as he spun to face the older genin. I trust your missions went well? They did. Kosuke replied, returning the bow Naruto had given him. I've finally heard about your new nickname, Force, Kage-bunshin. Naruto explained with a shrug. I kinda trade opponents that others can go all out against for training and things I'm weak at. Sensible. Kosuke said. So, can I see how far you've come? Perhaps a quick spar, followed by a meal. Of course, you'll have to go easy on me, I'm an old man. Ha, old like a bonsai. Naruto shot back. The older you get, the tougher you get, just like Gigi. Kosuke smiled as he led the way to the sparring ground that he had reserved before setting out to find his young apprentice. Hayashi paused at the sight in front of him. The entirety of Training Ground 14 was a mass of rusty orange-clad genin, most of whom were practicing various portions of katas or doing chakra control exercises. Near the middle, however, several dozen clones were in a whirling combat with none other than the eternal genin who was using a wok as a shield on one arm while he wielded a tanto in the other hand, the blade seeming to blur and dance as he moved through the attackers with the ease of decades of experience. Hayashi simply stood to one side, his eyes taking in the scene before him, noting the custom style that Naruto was training in. Several of the moves looked oddly familiar and Hayashi realized that, body differences aside, they were almost identical to a few of the moves that Hinata had begun incorporating into her own fighting style. Hyuga-sama. Hayashi glanced to his side where yet another Naruto stood. Good afternoon, Uzumaki-san. Hayashi replied. Are you the original? No, boss is over there, doing physical training to increase his physical abilities. The clone said, waving one hand towards the furthest corner of the training field. But he will get your memories once you dispel and you know all that he does. Hayashi stated. Pretty much, yes. The clone replied thoughtfully. Then I shall speak with you as if you are the original. Walk with me. Hayashi commanded as he turned and moved away from the field. The duo walked in silence for several moments before Hayashi spoke. My daughter is very attached to you, Naruto-san. As a father, I must take an interest in this. What are your intentions towards Hinata? Whatever she wants them to be. The clone replied almost at once. Boss owes Hinata big time. She shared her memories with us while she was helping Boss, which is why we know that she actually likes us, although we still don't really get why. We admire her. We would never do anything to hurt her. And if anyone tries to hurt her, they will regret it. Despite his self-control, Hayashi's eyebrows rose slightly at the sheer amount of determination and protectiveness in Naruto's voice. Emotions that he could respect. I see. He said after a long pause. That attitude is commendable. That means good, right? The clone asked and Hayashi hid a sigh. Yes, Naruto-san, it does. Ah, good. The clone sighed in relief. We hadn't come across that word before. Iwashi. Hiruzen said with a slight smile. Have you succeeded? Uzumaki has the strangest way of learning that I've ever come across. Iwashi said by way of reply as he sat in the seat that Hiruzen indicated. It does have limits though. He's probably got enough chakra to duplicate one, maybe two of you, but any more than that, he'll need to start opening gates. Really? I'll have to think about that. Hiruzen mused. And has he learned the technique? He has learned how we do it. Iwashi said. He does it in conjunction with two clones. As long as one of the three is flesh and blood, all three perform great. If all three are clones it still works, but the clones dispel before they can stabilize. I handed him the original scroll as you commanded, but I don't know if he'll learn to do it solo. I can't, and I've been trying for years. His method though we're working on replicating it ourselves. Until he does learn the solo method, it won't be useful in combat for him. Hiruzen mused. Nevertheless, you've done a good job. You and the others will be paid a B rank for this. Iwashi stood and bowed. Thank you, Lord Hokage. Naruto dismissed his two clones and looked round at the dusty room. Oh wow. He breathed as he saw the open racks filled with kunai resting on wooden pegs. Awesome. A picture on the mantelpiece caught his attention and he walked over to it, reaching out with a trembling hand to trace the faces of the two people in it. Mom, Dad, he breathed as he picked up the picture, then he turned it over. Minato and Kushina with their beloved son, Naruto, he read before turning the picture back. But where am? Naruto stopped as his eyes caught the bulge that Kushina was cradling. This was taken while she was pregnant with me, he realized. I have to show this to Hinata-chan. Wait. Naruto looked around and his gaze settled on a wooden box underneath the weapons racks on the wall beside the kunai. I wonder, he mused, his gaze moving between the box and the kunai. I wonder maybe I should talk to Gigi first then Hinata-chan. Please pardon the interruption, but Uzumaki Naruto seeks an audience with Hinata-sama. Hayashi exchanged a glance with the eldest of his two daughters, then back at the branch member standing by the door. Show him in. The branch member bowed and seemed to vanish. This way, Uzumaki-san. Naruto paused in the door and glanced at the three Hyuga. I didn't mean to interrupt. If this is a bad time? Not at all, Uzumaki-san. Hayashi said. You are always welcome here. I do not believe that you know my youngest daughter, Hanabi. Hanabi, this is Uzumaki Naruto, also known as Force Uzumaki. You heard that name, huh? Naruto coughed in embarrassment, rubbing the back of his head. Yeah, I'm kinda getting quite a few missions cause of that. Be seated. Hayashi said, motioning to the space next to Hinata. You wish to speak to us? Naruto gave Hanabi a look and Hayashi nodded. Hanabi, perhaps you should go to the dojo and start practicing your katas. Hayashi suggested and Hanabi rose to her feet, pouting slightly. Yes, father. Naruto watched her leave, closing the door after her, and then a brief pulse of chakra from Hayashi caused lines of Fuinjutsu to momentarily pulse into visibility. We are secure. Hayashi stated. You may say whatever you wish. This is kinda hard, Naruto admitted. Hinata, I know you've seen how many of the civilians don't like me. Well, it all goes back to these two. Naruto pulled a picture out of his Haori and Hinata accepted it. This is the yandame, and his wife, Uzumaki Kushina. Hayashi added. You knew about that? Naruto asked in shock. Look at the back. Hinata turned it over. Minato and Kushina with their beloved son Naruto. Your father was the yandame. Naruto confirmed. And my mother was the second Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. Hinata looked at Naruto. The second, Senju Mito, born Uzumaki Mito, was the first. Naruto explained. She passed the burden to my mother, and so they sacrificed themselves to seal the Kyuubi into me, making me the third Jinchuriki. Naruto finished. However, word got out about my burden, and since civilians generally don't understand sealing, they decided that I was the Kyuubi. Then they're stupid! Hinata exclaimed before glancing at her father, and seeming to shrink. I agree with you, Hinata? Hayashi said calmly. I assume you had the Hokage's permission to tell us this? I'm allowed to tell whoever I think can be trusted. Naruto replied with a shrug. Hinata deserves to know this now, cause when my parentage finally comes out, there'll be a lot of people trying to kill me as being the heir of the Yellow Flash. Others will be angry that the demon child could actually be related to the greatest hero of a generation. In other words, things will get noisy and dangerous. I'll be there for you. Hinata whispered, kissing Naruto on his cheek, then she froze as she remembered her father's presence. Actually, this situation could help me resolve a problem I have with the Hyuga elders. Hayashi mused. Hinata, how would you like to be engaged to the son of a Kage? As Naruto stared blankly at Hayashi, Hinata let out a squeal of joy and wrapped her arms around Naruto. Son of a Kage? You lovely baka. Hinata whispered in his ear. Yes. It would mean Hanabi-chan wouldn't be at risk of receiving the caged bird seal, and neither would you, my daughter. Hayashi agreed. Of course, the actual marriage would not be able to take place until either you are both chunin, or of a rational age, say, 16. Naruto looked at Hinata's smile and nodded. As long as Hinata-chan's happy with it, then so am I. Excellent. Hayashi stated, then he rose to his feet, glancing at where Hinata was hugging Naruto, neither of them paying any attention to anything other than the other. Yes, I can foresee that this will save me a great deal of aggravation from the elders. Oh, I almost forgot. Naruto half-shouted as he extricated himself from Hinata's grasp. I have a couple of things for you. Here's the first. Hinata took the silver chain necklace with the engraved tag on it, the embossed Uzumaki spiral glinting in the light. What's this? My father gave it to my mother to wear when they got engaged. Naruto said, and Hinata handed it back to him, and turned round. Can you put it on for me, Naruto-kun? Hayashi hid a smirk as Naruto gently placed the necklace around Hinata's neck and fastened the catch. There you go, Hinata-chan. Hinata looked down at the tag resting on her chest, then spun round and glomped Naruto, toppling them both to the ground. You know, just because I approve the engagement, it does not mean that you can try to get a room to yourselves yet. Hayashi snarked and both teens leapt to their feet, blushing furiously. Chapter 13. Journey of a New Genin. Hayashi looked up at the knock on the doorframe. Ah, Naruto, he said, motioning for the blonde to enter. You sent for me, Hayashi-dano? I did. Hayashi said. I have a mission I would like you to take, although I must apologize for the lack of warning. It will last several weeks and starts tomorrow morning. I will pay personally for it, and I believe that it will be your first C rank. May I ask what the mission is? Naruto asked. You may. A new voice said and Naruto half-turned. Gigi. Kurenai looked at her team proudly. You all packed? She asked and her three genin nodded. I have clothes and supplies for 3 weeks and 2 storage scrolls. Hinata said. 2 weeks, plus stuff for Akamaru. Kiba stated. 2 weeks. Shino said quietly. So, we ready to go? A new voice called and Kurenai turned. Indeed we are, Tazuna-sama. Good. The elderly civilian said. Hang on, I thought I was only getting 4 of you. There's 5 of us. Kiba said, pointing to Akamaru who was perched on his head. I wasn't counting the puppy. Tazuna said with a frown. Who's the blonde? Team 8 stared at him, then turned to see the grinning genin behind them. Hey guys. Naruto grinned, tossing a small scroll to Kurenai. Odd thing, I've got a mission that takes me to Wave as well, so if you don't mind, I'll tag along with you guys. That okay? Kurenai opened the mission scroll and scanned it before rolling it up again. We'll be glad to have you along. She smiled as she handed the scroll back. Cool. Naruto grinned. I even stopped by Ichiraku's and filled the scroll with piping hot ramen for our first evening meal on the road. I remembered your faves and even got a bowl of beef for Akamaru. Best tag-along ever. Kiba cheered. Ho, there they go. Hiruzen said, concentrating on the image in the crystal sphere. Their first C-rank mission. At least if something happens, backup will be available. Hayashi looked up from the sphere with a quizzical expression. Hokage-sama? I don't think it's my secret to tell. Hiruzen smirked, earning an irritated glare from the Hyuga clan head. You know, this is my first time actually outside Konoha. Naruto commented as they stepped through the main gate. I've looked through the gate and across from the top of the walls, but I've never actually been outside the walls until now. I kinda expected it to feel different. Kiba sniggered for an instant before Shino Dope slapped him. I also have never departed from the protected environs of Konoha before today. He intoned. I fully understand Naruto-san's reaction. Yeah? Kiba grumbled. Akamaru and I've been out here loads. There's some good hunting over there. Then let us hope that we are not the ones being hunted. Kurenai stated before she frowned. Naruto, why did you just send out a dozen clones? Scouts. Naruto explained. Between my clones, Hinata Heims Byakugan, Kiba's ears and nose and Shino's Kikeichu, no one's going to get near your client. True. Kiba smirked, then he frowned. Hey Naruto, just what mission do you have that sends you to Wave? I'm not complaining, it's cool having an army ready to defend us, but what exactly is the mission? Classified. Naruto smirked, and Kurenai raised a hand to hide her smile. So, Kiba said as the gates of Konoha slowly receded into the background. You fully equipped for this mission too? 4 weeks of supplies, enhanced medical kit, reserve currency bundle, backup weapons, tags. Yup, I'm ready. How? Kiba yelped. That must have cost loads. Since I'm no longer paying rent, I now have more money. Naruto shrugged. That reminds me, when we get back, I'll have to show you my new house, Hinata-chan. It's kinda out of the way, being in a small valley behind the Hokage monument, but it's mine now. It's where I found the picture I showed you. I'd like that. Hinata murmured with a smile. You have a house. Kiba half moaned. I still live with my mom and sis. I gotta start earning more so I can get a den of my own. Sensei, are we allowed to do solo D ranks? Elite genin like yourself are not encouraged to take solo D ranks. Kurenai replied. Among other reasons, independent genin like Naruto need the income. Damn. Kiba grumbled. Well, but looks like we gotta stay where we are for now. Akamaru let out a small whine. I know. Kiba sighed, then he brightened up. Hey, if we defeat any bandits on this mission, we'll get rewarded for it. We'll need to send them back to Konoha for the reward to be registered. Kurenai said. That's the reason why we jonin often carry prisoner scrolls, although they can only hold the prisoner for a day or two before they fail. Sounds like a project for you, Naruto-kun. Hinata giggled. Kurenai-sensei, Hinata said as she deactivated her Byakugan, there are 2 shinobi hiding in a small hole covered with a genjutsu of a puddle just over the hill. They are wearing horned head protectors, one with a single horn and one with 2. Kurenai stopped walking and pulled a book out of one of her hidden pockets. She started to leaf through it, then paused before handing it to Hinata. Can you find them for me? Hinata quickly flicked through the book, then paused. Here, sensei. The demon brothers Gozu and Meizu, formerly of the Hidden Mist village. Kurenai read. Individually classified as low to mid-C rank, when acting together, threat rating is high B rank. Taijutsu focus with poison secondary. Reward, 60,000 Ryo each or 150,000 if captured together. 150,000 Ryo. Kiba breathed. I could buy a really neat den with that. Rewards get split between the party that captures them. Kurenai commented. Genin get a single share, Chunin get 2 shares, Special Jonin 3 and Full Jonin get 4. That would grant each of us Genin 18,750 Ryo, while Kurenai-sensei will receive 75,000. Shino mused. What? Kiba yelped. I have an idea. Naruto said with a lopsided grin. It'll help us gain actual combat experience without the risk. Hinata's eyes widened in realization. Here they come. Gozu whispered as the group crested the hill and strolled down the path towards them, the members throwing glances at the nearby woods. Amateurs. SHHHH. The duo remained silent as the party of 6 passed by the puddle, then they launched themselves at the unsuspecting group. One down! Meizu gloated as their shuriken chain wrapped round the dark-haired woman and snapped taut, slicing through her and scattering her remains on the ground. The 4 genin froze and the duo took advantage of their hesitation to launch a barrage of kunai at their target, the old bridge builder. The kunai slashed through the air and impacted him, causing him to vanish in a cloud of chakra smoke. Huh! Gozu gasped as he froze, shocked by the unexpected turn of events. Then the genin were moving. One of them seemed to explode into a cloud of bugs that engulfed the 2 chunin, blinding them. Gozu felt the chain detach from his brother's gauntlet, and was about to follow suit when a new voice spoke, a feminine voice promising pain. 8 trigrams, 32 palms. A barrage of light yet incredibly painful strikes jolted Gozu like he was a puppet being shaken, then he collapsed to the ground, unable to command his muscles to move. Getsuga! The swarm of bugs lifted just in time for Gozu to see his brother being hammered into a tree by a swirling drill of chakra, a drill that dissipated to reveal the pharaoh-looking one of the genin group. Oh yeah! Bring a crane for they are down, well done. The Jonin's voice said approvingly, and Gozu managed to turn his eyes to see a second group approaching, a group identical to the first. Huh! He managed, we're Kagebunshin. The feral genin gloated. I hope you like the fact that you got owned by clones. Gozu would have groaned, but the effects of the strikes were too much and he fell into blackness, never seeing the clones vanish in puffs of smoke. Oh yeah, we rule, Kiba gloated. Did ya see how I slammed him into a tree? You all did very well. Kurenai smiled as her genin finished assimilating the memories that they had received. However, the actions of our adversaries has raised several questions. Like how do we get them back to Konoha for the reward? Kiba asked. You don't need to worry about that. Naruto said reassuringly as he created 10 clones which moved to pick up the downed Chunin. My clones can take them back and tell Gigi what we took them down. Who? 18,000 Ryo. Kiba gloated. A few more bounties like this, and I'll be able to finally move out of Mom's house. Kurenai smiled at Kiba's happy dance, then turned to Tazuna. Now, she said, storm clouds seeming to form out of nowhere as she loomed over the alcoholic client. You will explain to me just what is going on. Tazuna whimpered as Kurenai's eyes started leaking fire. I wonder what they're discussing. Kiba wondered, looking over to where Tazuna was talking rapidly, but no sound was emerging because of the genjutsu field that Kurenai had enclosed herself and their client in. It looks like what was that? What was what? Hinata asked as she activated her Byakugan, while Shino released a swarm of Kikai. It come from the Trilene, a sort of flash of light. Well, 3 of them. Kiba mused. I've never seen anything like it before. I wouldn't worry too much about it. Naruto said reassuringly. I'm pretty certain that it was something my clones did. Oh, Kiba said as he relaxed. Okay. Sorry. On the contrary, you did good. Naruto replied. I need to be more careful about using that technique. I didn't realize that the flash was that bright. Huh? What technique? We need to move to the next campsite. Kurenai called as she walked towards them, a guilty-looking Tazuna following her. There are decisions to make, and we need to discuss them. Man, that sucks. Kiba grumbled. I mean, a whole country being oppressed? We've got to do something about it. If this Gato has hired one set of Nukenin to prevent Tazuna-san from completing his project, it is only logical to assume that there will be other obstacles in our path also, obstacles that will be more difficult to overcome. Shino provided. We will need reinforcements, and you will have them. A new yet familiar voice said, Hokage-sama. Kurenai gasped and Hiruzen held up a hand. Only a Kagebunshin, Kurenai. Now let me talk to your client. The team watched as Hiruzen guided Tazuna away and erected a privacy jutsu. How the heck did he get here? Kiba asked in shock, then he turned to Naruto. And what was with that dozen clones you sent off? Where did they go? Naruto simply smirked. Tazuna has agreed to certain reparations for attempting to deceive us. Hiruzen stated as he led the shivering civilian back to the campsite. Continue with your mission. I will have another team moving to reinforce you by tomorrow morning, although it may take a day or so for them to catch up. Thank you, Hokage-sama. Kurenai said gratefully. As the first Jonin on site, you'll still be in charge. Hiruzen said, fixing her with a stern yet supportive look. I shall look forwards to reading your report. And yes, the bounty has already been paid into your accounts. Hiruzen's clone vanished just as Kiba let out a loud whoop of triumph. Oh yes! Personal Den, here. Come, I wonder who Hokage-sama is sending? Hinata mused thoughtfully as Kiba began another happy dance. As long as they're not super scary, I don't care. Tazuna quavered. Chapter 14. Technique of a new genin. I'm not certain that this'll work. The boatman admitted, looking at the expanded party. I mean, 1 person, no problem. 5 or 6 harder but still just about doable. But 10? No. Even if my boat remains above the water, it'll go so slowly that we'll be intercepted no matter what I do. Asuma frowned and sent a questioning look at Kurenai, who shrugged. Anyone got a plan? Yeah, but it involves an S-class secret. Naruto sighed as he pulled out a 3-pronged kunai. Boatman, can you take this to the other side and throw it? That's a Hayashi kunai. Asuma gasped. You know how to do it? Sure do. Naruto nodded. It's how I got the demon brothers back to Konoha, as well as your dad's clone back to us. However, it kinda costs. If my clones do it, it needs 3 of them to transport 1 person and they kinda dispel on arrival. Dunno why and I can't stop it, they just go poof, but they get the person there safely. If I'm one of the ones doing it, no dispel. Not a clue why. Just when I think I've finally got you figured out, you do something even more troublesome. Shikamaru grumbled. But I see your plan. You'll create 30 clones and move us all to where the boatman throws the kunai, right? You messed up your maths, Shika. Naruto gloated and the genius frowned for a moment. 10 of us, damn. Right, you'll only need 26 clones as you'll be part of the trio transporting Hinata. Everyone stared at him, and he shrugged. What? It's obvious, the way you two keep looking at each other. I'll be off then. The boatman said, accepting the blade and tucking it into his tunic. So, the Hokage guard taught it to you then? Asuma stated, and Naruto nodded. Yep, still failing to get the single-person version down though. Dunno why, you'd think it was an easy step if 3 clones of the same person can do it, but nope. Daemen, the yandere was a genius. Shikamaru raised a mental eyebrow at the correction which no one else looked like they had caught, so he continued to think out loud. Team 10 will someday need a way to knock someone out so that you can supply clones to take them to Konoha. I assume that there's a special cell in TI where you can simply drop them off? Naruto nodded with a grin and Shikamaru sighed. Troublesome. You work with plants. I think you may need to start looking at anesthetics and poisons since you have the best access to the source materials. Ino opened her mouth to protest, then paused as Asuma nodded approvingly. Think how well it'll go with your new trap-making skills. Shikamaru added and Ino started to grin. Naruto suddenly looked up from where he was watching Asuma and Shikamaru play shogi. He's thrown it. Who's in the first wave? Kurenai and myself. Asuma stated as he flipped his king over to indicate that he was yielding. We're Jonin, we'll secure the area. You'd better send a clone with us so it can dispel to give the all clear. 30 clones then. Naruto sighed, ignoring the triumphant smirk from Shikamaru, who was putting the pieces away in their travel box. Taiju Kage Bunshin. A mass of pops announced the formation of Naruto's clones and Asuma nodded. Nice. Alright, I'm ready. Kurenai-san? I am. Kurenai rapidly corrected herself. Sorry, I was distracted for a moment, I'm ready now. A trio of clones surrounded each Jonin, hands stretched out and touching in the seal of confrontation, then they vanished in a flash of golden light. That's what I saw. Kiba shouted in belated recognition. That's how you sent the demon brothers to Konoha. The other genin gave Kiba a long look. What? You missed the whole conversation? Ino asked. What were you? Signals been given. Naruto interrupted as he joined the 2 clones beside Hinata. Everyone stand up and get ready. The group appeared in a rapid-fire series of golden flashes and Tazuna looked round. That way, we'll be at my house in another hour or so. Naruto, detail 3 clones to guard Tazuna. Asuma said. If anything looks out of place, have them take him to Konoha until we decide it's safe to bring him back. Understood, Asuma-san. Naruto said as he generated another clone, which joined the 2 others that had helped him transport Hinata. By the way, how do you do it so quickly? Asuma asked as they set off. It takes the Hokage guard almost half a minute to do it, and you do it in just a few seconds. Most of the delay is them matching and harmonizing their chakra. Naruto shrugged. Since I'm using clones, I can effectively skip that step since it's my chakra anyway. Means I can do it in just under 3 seconds, but that's still pretty much useless in a combat scenario. Damn useful outside combat though. Asuma mused. I mean, get a safe house outside every city and courier missions will be done in a flash. Damn it, Naruto. Shikamaru groused. Do you have any idea just how much this little trick of yours messes up the tactical balance between the great 5 villages? As soon as word gets out that you can do the Hayashi, IWA'll be sending assassins. Kumo be fortifying their borders and Mizu's new Mizukichi will either demand your hand in marriage as the price of an eternal alliance, or join IWA in sending assassins. New Mizukichi? Yeah, my dad mentioned her just bore we hauled ass. Shikamaru yawned. Someone called Terumi May. Word came in just before. What the hell? Everyone spun to stare at the questioner, and Asuma paled. Momochi Zabuza. Look, we can fight later. Zabuza stated. I need to get 2 things straight here. 1, the blonde can do the Hayashi? I thought that only wait shit. You look just like him, except for those whiskers. You're his son, aren't you? Everyone stared at the Miss Nuke-Nin and he shrugged. What? And kid, you sure about Mei-chan being the Mizukichi? My dad said, and Shikamaru managed, his eyes fixated on the giant sword slung on Zabuza's back. Narashikaku, right? Yeah, he'd know for sure, if anyone did. Zabuza mused. Gato hired me to kill the bridge builder, but if what you say is true, kid. Demonstration? 3 of Naruto's clones surrounded Tazuna, and they vanished in a golden flash. Shit. Zabuza said. Okay. Hopefully I won't see you around. Zabuza vanished in a brief cloud of mist, and everyone stared at the empty space before Ino broke the silence. What the hell just happened? I have no bloody clue. Asuma finally admitted. Could he be trying to trick us, make us lower our guard? Kiba asked, and Asuma shook his head. Nope. Zabuza's a master of silent killing. None of us even suspected he was here before he spoke up. If he'd actually wanted Tazuna dead, we'd probably be looking at the old drunk's severed head by now. Thanks for the image, sensei. Choji muttered, turning slightly green. Naruto, if you can go and fetch our client, we'll continue. Asuma said, and Naruto grinned, summoning 2 clones and vanishing in a flash of light. He still doesn't get it, does he? Shikamaru grumbled. He overturns the entire playing field and doesn't realize it. What are you going on about? Ino asked as Naruto reappeared with Tazuna. That was weird, Tazuna stated, giving his ever-present sake jug a suspicious look. For a moment, I thought I was back in Konoha. I think the drink's finally getting to me. The assembled shinobi watched in silence as Tazuna ambled across to the nearest tree and emptied the sake jug into the earth around it. Yup, no more drink for me, he stated. Okay, YV, we stopped? There's a super bridge I need to build. Let's go. Am I the only sane one here? Ino mourned as she trudged along at the back of the group. Gato stared at the man before him in shock. The person who had just brought the unwelcome news to him was a former post-nin, trained in the use of chakra to cover long distances and fighting skills geared towards escape and evasion. However, the reason that the man now known only as Kage was a former post-nin was that he had chosen to betray the sanctity of the post, reading it, and using the information for his own profit until the day when he was discovered. Gato had promptly hired him, not only as a messenger but also as one of his lieutenants. Anyone who knew the value of information was someone that he wanted for himself, and the man's known proclivities gave Gato several levers to control him with. Are you certain? Gato asked and Kage nodded. Zabuza has departed, taking his helper with him, he said. I was able to get close enough to listen in, and apparently one of the genin is the son of a powerful Konoha ninja. Since the Hayashi was mentioned, I believe that the genin in question is the son of the Yondaime Hokage, Namikaze Minato. Gato slowly grinned. Head to IWA. Tell them that in exchange for a team to destroy the bridge and kill the builder, the boy in question will be theirs. Kage returned Gato's wicked grin, then he vanished in a cloud of smoke. Soon, Wave will be my permanent fiefdom, a tax-free land of slaves and servants where I rule all and where I can pursue whatever business dealings I wish. Gato gloated, rubbing his hands together. With my own personal estate as my warehouse and harbor, giving me a secure base ready for infiltrating and subverting the land of water, my wealth and power will increase dramatically. Gato's laughter echoed around his office. And here we are, Tazuna stated. Home super home. The assembled shinobi looked at the house thoughtfully. How many spare bedrooms do you have? Asuma asked. 2. I know that usually it's by ranks, but should we do a male/female split instead? Asuma asked, glancing at Kurenai, who nodded slowly. I have a tent in my scrolls and can share with Naruto-kun if you need the room, Hinata offered, blushing furiously as Ino started to giggle. Kurenai shook her head. Hinata, she sighed, then she laughed. Okay, I'm actually impressed. Never expected that from the shy one of your team. Asuma agreed. Sorry, Hinata, but you're with Ino and myself, Kurenai said, trying to sound stern despite the smile playing around the ends of her lips. Tsunami! Tazuna shouted. We're back, with help, father? A female voice responded from inside, and a moment later the front door opened. Hello, father, I thought you were only going to get a single team. Ahahaha, Tazuna laughed self-consciously. You know, it's a super funny story, father. What happened? Anoki stared at the photo in his hands, then his eyes rose to meet the fearless gaze of the ninja who had brought it to him. So, he growled. Your employer wants to hire one of our best teams to kill a civilian and destroy a bridge, and in exchange, we get the son of the damned Yondaime? Kage nodded. Fine. Anoki grumbled. Head back and tell this Gato that the teams will be on their way by tomorrow morning. Kage bowed and vanished in a swirl of smoke, leaving Anoki frowning at the far wall. Gramps? Anoki turned his head to fix his granddaughter with a glare. What is it? Kuratsuchi closed the side door behind her as she walked across the audience chamber to stop in front of Anoki, craning her neck slightly to look at the picture he was holding. I was listening in. That's the son of the Yondaime? Anoki nodded. Good. Kuratsuchi stated. Gramps, send me. I'll take down that brat and drag his bleeding carcass back here so our people can rip his techniques away from him. Well, you have been training in Kijigen no Jutsu, so you'll be able to get the team there. Anoki mused. I wasn't looking forwards to making that journey myself. That's because you're old, Gramps. Kuratsuchi snorted. Look, once we've grabbed the brat and blown the bridge, you may as well hand the hat over. I'll grab a team and head out. I'll make sure that Dad gets avenged. Wait. Anoki snapped as he grabbed a pen and paper, scribbling down some instructions. Take this to SOET Command, they'll give you a team to lead. Kuratsuchi accepted the note, bowed and turned to leave. Anoki watched her stride out and sighed. Damn it, be careful. You're the only relative I have left. Chapter 15. Discussions of a new genin. Inari sulked his way down the stairs to where the new guests were having breakfast. As he heard their laughter and flowing conversations, his anger at their carefree outlook welled up inside him. Taking a deep breath, Inari lunged forwards to slam open the door and make a dramatic entrance that would force everyone to look at him. But just as he reached the door, it was pulled open from the other side and Inari, deprived of the support of the handle, staggered forwards before landing on his stomach. Oh. Hey, this yours? Inari felt himself being grabbed by his shirt and lifted into the air. Get off me. As soon as his feet touched the ground, Inari spun round and glowered at the person who had picked him up. The whiskered teen simply grinned down at him. He's trying to be emo. That's so cute. He's nowhere near what Sasuke can do. He hasn't even got the brooding look down yet. It just looks like depressed pouting. Although I'll give him points for not having hair that looks like a duck's ass. Inari froze as his plan to show them just how bad his life was shattered. Huh, so Naruto. Another voice said, and Inari turned to see that the speaker was a bearded man. You got the tag to put on the bridge? One for the bridge and already got one on the porch. Naruto nodded. I can move the old man between the two without having to worry about an ambush. In fact, I may pop back to Konoha and pick up some more tags, put them in strategic places, not too many more. The man replied, leaving Inari totally confused. I don't know how many tags are left, but we don't want them to become common knowledge. Despite Zabuza having seen you do that technique, that is. What are you talking about? Inari burst out. Ninja stuff. A rough-looking boy with red markings on his cheeks grinned. Stuff like heroes? Inari scoffed, trying to turn the situation into one where he could use the no such things as heroes speech he'd been saving up. Heroes are those who stand up for what they truly believe in, the bearded man said. Often they die in the process, but their sacrifice can inspire others to take up the burden and continue on the path that they opened. Others die against impossible odds because no one stood with them, but even then, they leave a legacy which may one day inspire those who saw what they did. Being a hero is not something that one should aspire to, and being one is a heavy burden indeed. But becoming a hero is often the result of doing what is needed, of doing what is right. Inari stared at the man in shock. Who are you? Yes, we haven't introduced ourselves, have we? The man smiled. My name is Sarutobi Asuma, one of the last 2 survivors of the 12 guardian ninja of the Fire Daimyo before it was reformed. This beautiful lady is none other than Yuhi Kurenai, the Genjutsu mistress of Konoha. Inari let the introductions flow over him as he fought to understand Asuma's comments about heroes. Okay. I think we should sort out Rotas, Asuma said after everyone had finished breakfast. Kurenai? Asuma and I discussed this last night, and we both believe that Gato will not give up his attempts to destroy the bridge or kill Tazuna. Kurenai stated. As such, we need to consider what steps he will take. The most likely option is a strike aimed at Tazuna, which is why 3 clones of Naruto will always be by his side. Should any threat appear, Tazuna can be removed to safety at once, thus freeing us from the need to protect him. Similarly, it is likely that Gato will seek to use Tsunami and Inari as hostages. Therefore, Naruto will provide another 6 clones to watch over them, but we will need extra guards to buy the handful of seconds needed. Therefore, teams will alternate between bridge duty and guarding Tsunami and Inari, with us swapping at lunchtime. When Tazuna returns to the house, you will all wear these under your clothes. Asuma stated, passing metal tags to all the genin except for Naruto and Hinata. If you go down, as long as you are wearing these, Naruto can get you. You will return them after the mission is over. Why isn't Hinata getting one? Ino asked as she pulled out a piece of string and used the 2 holes at the top of the tag to thread the string through, making it into a necklace. I already have one, Hinata said quietly, throwing a smile across to Naruto, who returned it. Naruto-kun gave it to me. Naruto-kun? Ino pounced. You've been holding out on me, Hinata. We are so going to have some gossip tonight. How can I keep my position of gossip queen of Konoha if you tried to hide things from me? Hinata gave Naruto a pleading look and Shikamaru sighed. Ino, please stop being so troublesome. Your inquisition can wait until we finish this mission and are heading back to Konoha. Hinata's look of imminent panic abated slightly as Ino nodded slowly. Fine. She sighed. So, Kurenai, do you want your team to do the bridge or the house first? Ooh. I want the house. Ino shouted. I've been reading up on traps and I really want to set some up this morning. I'll leave a couple more clones to help you, if you want. Naruto offered and Ino nodded, then grinned wickedly. Hinata, if you let him slip through your fingers, I'll gladly take him. Naruto oofed as Hinata seemed to teleport across the room and into his lap. Wow. Ino gaped. That is one heck of a protective instinct you have there. Hinata hid her blush against Naruto's shoulder. Whoa. Kiba breathed as the scale of the bridge became obvious. That is one hell of a big bridge. That it is. Kurenai agreed as she hefted the tri-blade kunai that Naruto had given her, then threw it at the point where the bridge met the island. The blade penetrated into the road and quivered for a few seconds, then Tazuna appeared in a golden flash, surrounded by 3 Narutos, 2 of whom promptly vanished in clouds of chakra smoke. Whoa, Naruto managed. That's a big bridge. You got that right. Kiba smirked. It's going to be the most super bridge ever once it's completed, Tazuna stated with pride. The thin disk of stone sliced through the air over a kilometer above the ground, scrolling past far below. Sat at the center was the one responsible for its ability to defy gravity, while around the technique user, 8 masked ninjas sat, carefully spaced as to not unbalance the disk. Someone pass me up the end of the wire. Ino called. Here. Inari replied as he picked up the small stone that the wire in question was tied to and hurled it up so that Ino could grab it. A moment later, the now detached stone dropped down, then Ino landed on the ground. And done! She proclaimed, looking up at the kunai launcher nestled in the branches. If someone triggers that, they'll not only have to deal with a dozen blades slicing towards them, it'll also sound an alarm. Inari squinted at the device, then his eyes widened as he saw the 4 metal discs balanced against the back where the recoil from the launching kunai would dislodge them, causing them to fall to the ground. Those discs make very loud clangs when they land. Ino smirked. I introduced Yoshino to it, and she helped me set some up in Shikamaru's bedroom to wake him up early, and it was troublesome. Shikamaru grumped from behind them. It took me almost a week to learn wall walking just so I could deactivate that damned device. We put it in the rafters of his room. Ino explained in a loud whisper and Shikamaru frowned as Inari giggled. I've got the warning stakes, Choji called as he lumbered up and Shikamaru took the first of the painted markers before hammering it into the ground so that only a hand span showed above the grass. Remember to stay on this side of the markers. Ino noted and Inari nodded, glancing round at the now heavily trapped trees, traps which Ino had decided that he should help set up so that he didn't have a chance to sulk. What about the path? Inari asked. Sensei's placed several alarm tags along it. Choji supplied as he handed Shikamaru another stake. He'll key Kurenai-san into them when she returns so that they'll both know if anyone's trying to get to the house. Wow! Inari breathed fish. Naruto called as he led a parade of clones up the pillars of the bridge, the clones holding several nets bulging with still flapping fish. Get your fish here. How? One of the workers asked. Gato has boats all over the place to sink anyone trying to fish so that only he can provide food. About that Naruto grinned as he pointed down. Do you want some new boats? The workers dashed en masse to the railing and stared down at the 24 small boats being tethered to the bridge pillars, boats which had their original crews tied and gagged on the deck. Odd thing. Naruto grinned. Those guys weren't prepared for a dozen clones to appear on their ships using Shunshin and were easily subdued. I only lost 15 clones all told. You took out Gato's blockade? Tazuna gasped as he joined the workers. Well, the blockade on this side, yep. Naruto laughed. You know, if you have anyone who knows where Gato's ships are kept, I could pro-baby sneak aboard and take them from him. We'll keep that in mind, but I'd insist that you have either myself or Asumaku-san along with you. Kurenai said as she leaned over the balcony to look at the captives below. So, what do we do with them? Naruto said with a shrug. I mean, we could always kill them, but that'd be such a Gato thing to do. Several of the workers closed their mouths, their suggestions left unspoken. We have an old quarry that hasn't been used in over a decade. Tazuna mused. It has steep sides and only one way out. I think it'll suffice as a prison if we build a wall around the top of the ramp. A rumble of agreement met his idea. I can help with that. Naruto grinned. Kakashi-senpai helped me to learn a technique to raise walls after I helped him test his team. Search and bring our new prisoners. Tazuna shouted. Kid, you're with me. I'll show you where the quarry is. You know, a voice from the crowd gloated. If this kid keeps grabbing Gato's men, he won't have any left to protect him when we decide to after him for what he's done. Keep grabbing his men, kid! Another voice cheered. Kid? Naruto mock-huffed. The name's Uzumaki Naruto. Let's hear it for Naruto. The first voice shouted. Naruto! 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 As the chant grew, Naruto blushed slightly, then felt Hinata place her hand on his shoulder. I always knew that you were a hero. She whispered to him, and Naruto smiled. Okay, folks! He shouted and the crowd quietened down. Some of you take the fish back to the village and make sure everyone gets some, the rest of you. Let's put these creeps away. The cheering was so loud that Kurenai momentarily wondered if Gato had heard it from his mansion. The stone disc descended in the gathering dusk, coming to a gentle touchdown as Gato stepped out of the front door of his mansion. That was fast. He said as 8 of the figures unfolded themselves from their seated poses and straightened up while the 9th one sagged. Gato-san. One of the masked shinobi said. We request overnight quarters so that our leader can recover from the energy she expended to allow us to travel here. Gato looked at Kage. I believe that one of the barracks is still empty, sir. The former postnin said, correctly predicting his command. I shall escort these honored shinobi there and see about providing sustenance for them as well so that they are in top form tomorrow. Gato smirked. Excellent. A quintet of flashes lit the porch briefly, and Tazuna blinked. Hey! He said, pointing to Hinata and the 3 Narutos surrounding her. How come the kids' clones came with her when the others just sent us? It's more complicated than that. Kurenai said as she knocked on the door. Naruto? Naruto dispelled his 2 remaining clones and grinned. My clones dispel on arrival, unless I'm part of the ring. He said. My teachers and I still don't know why, but I hear that they're using the same technique now as well. This is not very reassuring, Tazuna mumbled. It works. Naruto shrugged as the door was opened by Choji. What if Naruto started with all his memories? And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoyed this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel, and leave a like if you guys need the next part, comment down and thanks for watching the video and see you guys in the next video.